Good evening and welcome back for one last time, at least as far as the group stages are concerned, because this is it. This is week 5, day 2 of the group stages for season 2, Korean Contenders 2021. I am, of course, Matt Pixie AVRL, and joining me tonight to bring you all of the action, or at least the half of the action that he commentates on, Kevin AVRL Walker.
I commentate on all the action, all the time.
Call it 60-40.
In all universes, as we discussed yesterday. You made it sound quite final when you said for the final time. I was like, wait, what's happening? Is the playoffs
No, I'm
canceled?
going to kill you after this, is what's happening.
Oh, right.
So you're going to be dead, and then I'm going to go away for murder.
I don't know why you said
this is the last show.
You could have just said specifically AVRL, you're here for the last time. And I'll be like,
well, that's the thing, is now, like, this is going to be used as, like, the evidence, the proof that it was indeed me who killed you.
Right. Well, it's good that you've explained the plot. So that no one else has to see the movie now, as we head into final week and final day of our regular season here. As the left side of the screen, the round robin, that's all done and dusted after today, and the bottom 2 teams from each group, which at this stage actually has already been decided, we'll review that when we actually see the 2 groups in detail, are going to be eliminated, and the top 2 from each group will go over to playoffs. The middle 2, A3, B3, A4, B4, go to the play-ins tournament.
And it's pretty straightforward. We've already actually had all of our teams be officially knocked out. Last night we had a match between 4th and 5th place seed over in Group A that shook out with Starlight Gaming taking it out over JNGK, who get knocked out. And the reason I say guaranteed sending teams home is Incendia Evolution, they're actually guaranteed nothing better than 5th place. What that means is even if they win tonight and 3-0 Team CC, they would be tied for their win-loss and map record with WGS Phoenix, who have already beaten them. So they would lose the head-to-head. They cannot escape 5th place. It is absolutely and utterly inevitable. The real thing here tonight is this is Team CC just kind of bringing it home. Even if they lose this one, I think they're not going to lose it. Let's be clear about one thing. But like, even if they did, it's very slim chances that they even slip down into 3rd place. So this is really about getting it over the line over in Group B. But over in Group A, we've got an absolute table topper. We talk about for the last time. Well, I got to say, we've absolutely saved the best for last.
Also, if you're gonna talk about something home, you might as well say it properly. You know, it's coming home for Team CC tonight. That's really what it is. It's for it to come home correctly. Ultra Blast versus T1. A little bit later on, that's the title card, CC and Incendia Evolutions, your undercard bout for the evening, just to get you warmed up, get you started, get our pallets nice and going, as bit of an entree to start things out with, which I can't remember if that was, is that the contested term, was it appetizer? I don't know which one anymore. America's weird, and they're probably not awake right now, so...
They just added a whole bunch of extra words into meals, and then they try and convince you that they all mean different things. It's like, starter, mains, dead simple.
Done. And we're going to start with CC and Incendia Evolution, finish off with T1 O2 Blast. There's not going to be dessert. You will be full after O2 Blast T1. You're going to be done. There's no room left. And don't bother saving any. You won't be able to. You'll be stuffed. And you won't be able to get enough of it. Incendia Evolution versus CC. You kind of teed up the possibilities of what can happen in this matchup, which really is no possibility. The standings cannot change. The scorelines cannot change. It would be a great last showing for Incendia Evolution to end their season off, though, with if they can do some sort of damage to CC, if they can take a map, look close, be competitive. I know there's good players on this team. That would be, I think, the main goal for Incendia Evolution here tonight. Is, you know, we've had JNGK at least be able to walk away with, you know, quite a few maps. Incendia Evolution, I believe, actually did take one map off of WGS, but, you know, let's see how much further they can go.
An interesting thing in all of that, by the way, because I'm actually just still thinking about food. I'm pretty sure entree is French and appetizer is Italian, and like it's the same thing. Like, it's the same word, it's just a different language, but, you know, Americans will still try and convince you that those are 2 different things. So I'll tell you what are 2 very different things is CC and Incendia Evolution. One of them, tell you what, it's far more appealing to the palate than the other. Let's say that much. Incendia, I almost feel, I feel bad speaking ill of this team, for one thing, because, like, the thing we always kind of say is, like, Korea as a region is so incredibly stacked that even, like, the bottommost teams in any given season are still extremely good with high caliber talent on them, and often there's these real individual gems as well that may shine out. And speaking of individual gems, we of course have Top Dragon coming out the gates on the starting lineup here, someone who in their most recent match was just an absolute blast to watch. Uena as well has been a very consistent piece among this. Then Enokas and Frong is some slightly more familiar names. And obviously the whole roster should be a little bit more familiar by now since we're at the end of the regular season. But that being beside the point, like, there is those bits of talent here. Like, there's some decent things on this team. Unfortunately, it's never quite shaken out to be enough to actually pick up wins this season.
The sad part is that after this match as well, Decay is going to have to go back to playing on his main account as he's getting ready for play-ins for Overwatch League the end of the season. So, you know, he won't be able to smurf in Contenders' career anymore as we look over towards Team CC, same old. Spectre will be starting out today as well. Obviously, actually, we even have Aim God to start out today, which usually is the 2 players that are not being brought on for opening map. Usually, Aim God doesn't come until map number 2. Merit gets a bit of playtime. Well, not Merit. Who am I talking about here? On, obviously, with Team CC, it's Easy Han is someone they usually start with, I think, on map number 1. And Super Rich as well, who usually plays. So Aiden's getting some playtime. I don't think that we've had Aiden in all season, and he's been a new member for this team that has yet to debut. So there it is.
Fun.
This is opening game.
Why not roll out a new one? See what happens. And I mean, in all honesty as well, like, this is the safest possible environment to, you know, give some of your fresher talent a bit of a field day. To be honest with you, like, this is a largely inconsequential matchup. Like, literally worst case scenario for CC here is you lose, you get 3-0'd, and you finish 3rd seed instead of 2nd seed. Like, that's the worst case scenario, and that's pretty good, all things considered, when you're still an excellent team. Now, honestly, yes, if you lose, there are probably other alarm bells that ought to be ringing, don't get me wrong, but I can't at all disagree with having an as of yet unseen player on the starting roster tonight, and with that, Lijiang Tao is looking to be pretty bog standard for them.
CC rolling out with the Orisa matchup to start things out with. Spectre probably on, what, a Hanzo, Soldier. Double hit scan coming through as well. Enokas on a Ryan of all things, so IE going to be playing a Ryan composition. Obviously, Lucio is still banned. That will change after today. His Top Dragon may be expected a sim on the other end. It's a really interesting opening lineup for Incendia Evolution. Not standard at all.
Yeah, they've kind of got almost this more brawly thing with going on here. Top Dragon's already taken out, unfortunately. That is at least traded out, but you kind of lose a lot of the tip of your spear, as it were, for Incendia. Now with Roxanne dead as well, the tank lineup starting to get taken apart as CC. I mean, that's the thing, even with a more brawly oriented composition, like, what are you actually going to do against this CC? Like, they're just as happy to kind of get stuck into the thick of it. So unless Top Dragon absolutely pops off, I don't think that was always going to go so well for them.
But he can't dive in either. He needs to swap off over here. IE need to think about maybe a Symmetra, get themselves into a brawl, because they have no mobility at all. I mean, obviously you can't run a Lucio, so this entire composition gets eaten up alive. There's no Diva here as well to eat up the hit scan damage coming through from CC Soldier McCree lineup. IE are in a lot of trouble here. You can go for a Nano. It probably has to go to Top Dragon, and they're going to have to play 5v6.
Yeah, it's already the loss early in the fight as Innovation just kind of catches one around the side, and I mean, already this is looking rough. Top Dragon, oh wow, nearly lost that duel against Innovation, but even then, getting the win there, he still dies to Aiden. Enokas, though, is what's going to bring the team back to the brink with the Nano boost at his back, the extra damage on the Fire Strike really helping collect up some kills. Now this is just going to be CC trying to maximize their overall percentage by kind of sacrificing Wu Yao. With that, Incendia do get control of the point.
That'd be a misposition from CC. There's all somehow Aim God ends up dying to Enokas. I mean, your bat play should never really be within range. Team CC ended up in favorable brawl positioning for IE, which again, you know, CC have an Orisa comp. They should be looking to play max range. They got within melee of Enokas, and I mean, that's just not ideal. So Enokas will now be looking to set up a shatter. CC have this window going.
Oh boy, Roxanne nearly got absolutely dumped on. It does come just a little bit later, which is unfortunate. All of the highest impact tools on IE dead before they could even commit them. I'm talking about the Earth Shatter. I'm talking about the grab that was nearly available. Meteor Strike from Top Dragon not really doing much. CC just way faster on the draw with committing those critical tools. And also just kind of barreling on top of Incendia before they were really ready to take a fight.
Now they're going to have to come in with a bit of a disadvantage in terms of, most importantly here, positioning. Like, yeah, okay, there is going to be a grab. It'll still be difficult to lob that one in with the Wu Hiao check-in on the side. You know, Cass needs a position for a shatter. They have to get past someone to do that. And when they were on the defense, it was far easier to find a shatter. Now they have to walk up, and they're going to be walking up into quite a bit of damage. Someone will be looking for the supercharger.
So CC now Happy on the defense. It's going to be Nano Boost committed onto Top Dragon. They've actually dealt with Innovation nice and early, taking out the Supercharger and the Immortality Field. So if Top Dragon can get in with a little bit of backup, they can find more. There we go. Aiden going down. There's IE on the front foot here in a big way. Top Dragon finally able to kind of get the backing from the team, get stuck in and do what he wants to be doing. It ends up paying off for IE.
And CC didn't get enough damage output from the Supercharger either. They kind of popped it down, got destroyed fairly quickly. Top Dragon buying a lot of space. Obviously, when you have a Doom just kind of punching his way through, you have the bubble being put onto Top Dragon as well. CC turn around, try and deal with Top Dragon. That gives Incendia Evolution the opportunity to walk up. And that's how InnoCast and Roxanne get within damaging range. So CC didn't quite stem the tide with that Supercharger at all. And now they don't really have a lot to work with. This is where I expect a grab from Roxanne to come through.
It was a surprisingly cheap fight in the previous one. That's a really decent shatter, actually. They've held on to the grab, curiously enough. But even then, you want to just use one or the other. You definitely don't want to use both. So again, an extremely cheap fight, actually. So IE having won the previous fight with no ultimates expended, now in this one with just one extended.
I thought maybe you just, you know, try and charge Ruhi a little bit further than that. Put him back in the Baby D before, make sure you can't run off the map, but late kill nonetheless, 90+%. This is where grab needs to come through. Not a lot of energy for Roxanne, but it might not matter. He's dead!
Oh! Devastating. Not behind InnoCast's shield. Huge punish there from Innovation. And I mean, it feels like the sort of thing that should have been read by IE, so now a huge tool taken off the table. They're going to have to try and do this anyway in front of the Ant Matrix. Aim God looking to get taken out of here. Immortality Field taken out by the Meteor Strike and quickly dispatched off thereafter. So IE, they managed to claw it back to a man advantage now with Roxanne coming back in. They do lose a Peach, but honestly, the Nano Boost is being committed. They've got a grab here to help secure it, to stop respawners from coming in. This actually should be IE able to walk it over the line. Not a bad start.
And it ends up that they didn't even need the grab me. They lose Roxanne early, but it's a 5v6 that IE can still navigate their way through. Top Dragon really pulling a lot of weight in almost every single fight. Even when he's going down, he's actually trading 1-for-1. I specifically remember taking down Innovation even as Top Dragon dies. And Team CC, they look like they would have had the edge, especially their composition, can just play kite. They can play for maximum range. IE, every time they get reset and they have to come back as a run, that should be difficult. Really should not be the case that InnoCast can land on top of players like Aim God in the back line, but IE will get it done as Top Dragon gets the initiation. And we'll move on now to Gardens. Looks like a fire start for Spectre and Team CC. Innovation on Tracer, no doubt. And IE, probably Trace Sombra for this one. I don't expect the Doom to come back out again.
It's interesting because if they rotate quickly enough, which they should be able to do based off this lineup, they kind of ignore the open ground here. Someone gets absolutely drilled down. That's enormous. Huge work being done by Incendia's DPS is to just get right on top. Now the manual hack on Wu Yao, they'll be able to D-mech him. That is a beautiful start for them. They basically went, you know, they played the classic ignore the Pharah, go after the ground game, take out the tip of the spear. They drop someone. Nice counter trade at the end there by Aim God, especially getting both supports. Leaves Roxanne a little high and dry, actually. May well get D-mechs here. InnoCast having to take the brunt of it. This is what Team CC can maybe get back in on grounding Spectra. Super important. Roxanne finally D-mechs. They do the supports coming back in, but this is now actually a 6v5 favoring CC because of how those respawns have timed out. And suddenly IE, despite the excellent work earlier in the fight, have not actually got control of the point, and instead Team CC will get it.
Well, now they have the Nano Boost as well to boot, and CC get that cap. They have the ultimates available for the next fight. Barrage on its way over, and so yeah, that a double kill into a Peach in front. The back line is of IE, the double supports there. So important for turning the fight around. Here goes Spectre now. Lots of damage into play.
Yeah, really aggressive, but it's looking to pay off. Roxanne, oh no, hold on a hot sec. Doesn't quite find the angle of the rocket barrage. Roxanne slips away. Will they be able to finally get the D-mech, but Spectre's had to go to ground. They've lost Aiden as well, so now as Spectre gets dropped, someone drilled down. It ends up being CC over-confining themselves in the map geometry, and Incendia are able to capitalize. You also saw InnoCast living just barely there a hot second ago. Got slept with about 30 HP left and still survives.
Really unfortunate barrage coming through with Spectre as well, because by the time he goes for the barrage, everyone had left his LOS, so he didn't see anyone on the screen anymore. Had to then commit further into the White Room, which is not ideal for a Pharah. I think maybe they pulled the trigger too early. Nano Boost was used, okay, you know, you're getting some good damage, you're not finding full value, you don't have to go for the barrage, and that might have been a bit of a trap set out by his own teammates, really. Spectre now moving over towards the smart speaking of which 4-man EMP from Uena.
I mean, I feel like CC were just trying to bait that out anyway. They do so successfully, but it does at least work out for IE as they find someone. Roxanne Spy checking around the side will deal with Spectre as well, so, double your money on that one, I suppose.
So 45 and counting now. I have quite a lot to work with. It's an EMP that CC don't really lose too much absorbing either. Yeah, okay, 4 people got hit, but they only lost 1 member. Nano coming through from AIM, God, and Frol. They should be just trading on either side. Nano from Frol probably would end up going to top Dragon, I suppose. Not a lot of other good choices here. Obviously, AIM got to put us on someone.
The rally difference is maybe the big ace up the sleeve, but a great manual hack on Roxanne. Oh, they end up giving the Nano onto Roxanne. So that gets slept out now instead. Roxanne, not exactly a huge contributor to the fight, but honestly, Top Dragon and Uena have had plenty of space to play with. Incendia, I mean, this has just been absolutely excellent play.
Yeah, I mean, CC have to try and catch up with their Sombra composition. They swap off the Pharah. Spectre's so much further behind than Uena. He'll be working over towards his first EMP now. Uena's even catching up for his second. As IE won that fight pretty convincingly. Top Dragon outplaying Innovation also. His Team CC will be heading into final fight territory now. One last opportunity, rotating a white room, and IE have full line of sight. I think Uena's going to get this EMP. It's going to be double EMPs.
Absolutely. It's super huge. Spectre is maybe going to get his a fraction of a hair ahead of Uena. And I mean, this is it. Now this is the window. Oh, there we go. Huge. Getting the hack onto Uena. Really important there. And the fights, the kills to follow it up. Even with someone slept, actually trades back coming through now. Oh. So even with Uena dead, hold up. Roxanne just popping right off. Still is the reset of the match potentially. Top Dragon's on an absolute tear as well. Look at this. Right on top of the tanks now. They're struggling to keep a hold of him. Someone's going to go down. They've got a nano boost to deliver directly to Top Dragon, who's going to be able to ride it home. What on earth just happened?
I mean, Top Dragon and Roxanne went full sicko mode there. In that final fight, they destroyed. That's the second time, by the way, that I think IE start a final fight with 5v6, and they end up winning that one. They just pull it through. CC look like they have the advantage there. It's all looking CC's way, and then IE are like, actually, with the members that we have remaining, let's just clutch it through. Let's just clutch it out there. It should have been a CC fight win. It should have been a flip over. But Top Dragon and Roxanne, especially Top Dragon, who then receives a nano, gets a couple more melee kills. Those blink melees were absolutely crispy. Perfect timing, perfect distance. And on both Doom and now on Tracer, back-to-back on our opening map at Lee Jungle, the 2 sub-maps there. Domination from IE in some cases because they handily defeated that fire composition opening. Got someone out of the way. Okay, sure, the first cap still ended up going the way CC because they lost double backlines, but initially they had won that neutral fight aside from that fact and then pulled it back anyway, forcing CC to swap over to Sombra Comp themselves, and they had to do a lot of catch-up.
I mean, that was absolutely huge from Incendia. Even then, like, on the whole, it felt like they were able to just win more fights. And like some of them were fights that you wouldn't have even said that they should have been able to win. Like I think the real classic one for me, and you kind of talked about, on Control Center, trying to re-enter with the Reinhardt, like it's not the easiest thing to do. It certainly shouldn't be going as smoothly as it was for Incendia, but there was a particular fight right in the middle there where like not only did they just kind of walk back in and win the fight, they did so with 0 ultimate expenditure. Absolutely, like not a single ultimate used in the entire fight, and then had like 5 or 6 available for the next one anyway. Like it was absolutely nuts how much value they kept getting just playing to their win conditions, agnostic of ultimates, playing to the playmaking ability that they had, and it just paid off time and time and time again.
Just feels like Incendia Evolution pulled through from a lot of disadvantageous positions, clutched up. That's gonna be the key word here, because honestly they won back-to-back final fights on 5v6. They lost Roxanne at the end of Control Center with the grab, mind you, which was a huge win condition. Like I said, they won with no ults because the one ult they had was the grab that they lost. And then by the time Roxanne respawns, it's like they have actually already won, so it doesn't even matter at that stage. It's kind of wild that they're able to pull that through. And then a similar thing happening over on Gardens there as well, where they're down early. Uena's gone, no EMP. It feels like it doesn't end up mattering. It's kind of wild how this team is pulled through. And you start to look at IE as soon as they have Top Dragon join the team midway through the season. They look like a stronger team. That WGS game, I think, is going to be the one that you look back on and say, look, if today's IE goes back in time and plays WGS, who knows? Maybe they actually win that match. It was close enough anyway.
Yeah.
But then, who knows? Maybe WGS at this week is also stronger, so it's hard to say. But point is, I think IE have made substantial improvements over the season. There's just not enough games there for them to show that.
I know, like, to the point where, like, let's be completely honest, like, we went into the top of this with a sense of inevitability, like, CC will win, probably going to be a 3-0, yada, yada, yada. Now, look, I still think, actually, CC are better than what we just saw on Control. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Incendia are playing excellently, and the tragedy almost is if this continues, if they pick up a win here, be it 3-0, 3-2, whatever, if they pick up a win here, it is like the most hollow win possible because it just can't change anything for them. There is nothing they could do there. That doesn't mean, you know, sit back, lie down, and accept your fate, right? Like, if they can have a strong surge late in the season, then suddenly this becomes a team to keep your eyes out for in subsequent seasons, a team that would be looking to re-qualify and come in as a team with high expectation, or if nothing else, you'd look to the individual talent on this team that you could maybe pick up and poach away if you're some of the other organizations. So, like, this isn't a bad thing if they win, don't get me wrong.
I'll tell you what, I think Gen G in future seasons will start taking their players back. Like, I think it's time to come home, fellas. As all the Gen G players are spreading out across all the other teams because their team didn't make it in, right? And I'm sure they'll all consolidate back together at some stage, and one day Glister and Top Dragon might end up in the same, not Glister, Stalker and Top Dragon might end up in the same team. The point being now, though, is you talk about the fact that, okay, Incendia Evolution can't change their season around in terms of scoreline, but what they can actually do is play spoiler massively to CC, who currently are sitting in second. But if CC do lose today, they go 2-2, which is an equal record with Team Diamond, and there is a world where CC actually lose their second seed to GC Busan, who then take that second seed. CC goes to third seed instead, and they don't go to playoffs. They actually go to play-ins, and that's a huge loss. So CC need to make sure they win today, or at least if they lose, they have to lose, I believe 2-3 is the scoreline they have to lose by. Anything else means they're done. They will be, well, they're not done, but they're not going straight to playoffs. They have to go through play-ins instead.
Well, and let's be completely clear about one thing as well. Going into play-ins, even as the third seed, like, there is actually a serious loss of possibility of elimination, I should say. It would be more difficult from third seed. You would have to lose twice in a row. But at the same time, like, you could bet your bottom dollar those other teams are going to be bringing their A game to the play-in. So, like, there is a potential path here where Incendia could play ultimate spoiler, and it would have to begin with them winning here and knocking CC into third seed, and then CC then losing their next two matches and therefore not making it into playoffs at all. Like, the potential difference there is actually enormous. It's far greater than, like, oh, they just lose one seed, whatever.
Let's consider the suite of changes coming on through for both teams. Here's Easy Khan comes in for Spectra. Aiden's still in, by the way, so Superich not going to be making an appearance just yet. The more important thing that we're looking over towards the IE side of things is that Top Dragon will be moving off for Shock, and don't be too shocked by that. Shock has actually been pretty good so far, specifically on Hanzo, so if you do see Shock in, it's going to be Hanzo, pretty much full-time. I don't think I've seen Shock play anything else so far this season, and Hanzo expected because, you know, maybe CC would go Orisa. They're just not, though. CC so far have been playing quite a decent amount of Winston. They'll be doing that again, starting out of the Farah of all heroes. We'll see how this goes now, second time in a row, but it is a different player piloting that Farah.
Aim God nearly goes down around the side. Instead, it's Shock who gets slapped and is going to be in a lot of trouble. Bit of a tough break there, but Incendia, you could argue that the defense has been broken based purely off that. Now with the pressure coming onto the backline, as they managed to separate them out, that's going to be a Peach going down in the same breath as Uena. Roxanne a little bit isolated as well. We'll at least be able to drop back down to some low grounds here, but not exactly in a great place to regroup with the team from anyway, and it feels like it's only a matter of time as CC continue to squeeze the vice grip as they're capturing the points as well.
It's going to be one sleep dart to take all of A point at this stage in time. I don't think AimGod will really need to use this nano. Yeah, he'll die with it. Roxanne's already down as also IE. It is a 5 versus 5. Look at Frank Trances. He does this
hold up. Yeah, I mean, suddenly they find an avenue in, right? Shock picks up a kill, Uena picks up a kill, a Peach even getting the finish off on the main Sang. That's absolutely huge. Really kind of bold play from IE, but, you know, it wasn't a foolish one. They saw an opportunity and committed extremely clean.
Well, now the nano comes on through. Innovation receives. It should be 200 damage. Rockets to follow through as well. IE hiding so far. They don't want to be annihilated by these rockets. They haven't found any targets. Team CC are taking this very slowly.
There we go, finally able to take out a couple of this form of Fong and Shock, and that should be enough to allow them to finish securing this point. But, I mean, it took time, and what was going to be a one-and-done push on A at least cost CC a few extra minutes. This is where IE, if they can anchor a defense somewhere on B, they could really start to drain this clock dry.
Not bad. Even the slowdown from IE, I mean, it forces extra ultimates in the form of the nano boost. I think AimGod would have played the nano boost immediately if he did see the nano. Sorry, if we did see the Transcendence initially. Trading ultimate for ultimate seems pretty worth. CC now, good news is, off the back of only 1 nano, they do get to walk through with 5 ultimates online. There won't be an engagement just yet, so that gives IE a bit of time to charge. Uaina's Sombra EMP, very important for this next engagement. Ideally, they catch innovation with this.
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? You kind of say, if you've got EMP, then their 6 ultimates could just be no ultimates.
Oh, that block. Beautiful.
So far, knock. Oh, but Shark drops it dead on to 2. Absolutely flawless. And now they've managed to separate out the whole rest of the team. That was bonkers. They didn't even need the EMP.
Yeah. Peach as well, the shield block for Roxanne to make sure Roxanne wasn't going to lose mech to the self-destruct from Wuhiao. Now CC, after dropping 2 ultimates in there, unfortunately unsuccessful as IE do the same thing, and they went very, very cleanly. And now the EMP still available here. This could be really big. Are they in position to land it though? Going for the sky. Get Aiden.
All right. Ends up getting Aiden, so they'll at least finish that kill off, but I think they ended up just getting a manual hack onto Innovation. Not their ideal, but they should be able to get something done here. It's going to be straight in to a rocket barrage, but Frong is on top of it. Roxanne dies out of the mech, unfortunately. CC do have a significant lead here. Frong knows better than pop the Transcendence into what would be a losing fight. So CC are able to get back underway, but we've also kind of reset to net neutral in terms of the ultimates, with IE having a slight lead.
Unfortunately there, Peach also kind of used a rally. To be fair, Peach used the rally before the rocket barrage came on through, so like if IE had a couple more members alive, maybe if Shock was still there, one of the tanks from could absolutely transfer, get double support off and try and survive. I mean, we know that IE have actually clutched through more fights than we thought they would be able to, and maybe they'll continue doing that. They have an opportunity now to contest for the final part of B, and they do still have that chance to go in with.
They've got the right tools, even just the self-destruct to clear a little bit of space could be an option for the Minocast. Has been spotted around the side. Oh, that's a fat Bionade. Frong at least pops the Transcendence, but it does not save Roxanne's mech, and Roxanne melted so quick, unable to reset with the self-destruct. They've at least got a clean kill onto Innovation, but it is all for now. So CC ready and in position to absorb the push that Incendia go for. So CC now about 2 minutes on the clock as they come over the line of B.
Well played by Easy Han towards the end there as well. Notice that someone was actually touching the payload, going for the final cap. Payload was imminent, and just a Dragon Strike to secure it as well, because no one from IE can walk into it to contest the payload in the final few seconds. Team CC now get a reasonable cleanup. EMP not being online for Uaina was a bit of an unfortunate end for IE, but they can use that time to charge it up now with the player advantage.
Okay, that's a really good find there. The isolation on the side of the 2 supports, and now the rest of CC is going to have to respect that. They had to back away from the cart. So Incendia, they've got to make up for a lot of lost time with how B ended. They are in position to do that.
I mean, that's a considerable slowdown. Consider that Team CC otherwise would have had a bit of snowball momentum. They would have walked through, set up for the EMP. Uaina would have been in a more compromising situation as the defensive Sombra. EMP out now.
All right, finds 2. The other support's now Bionated, but the counter EMP much more strong, finding at least 3. I think someone might have been caught in it, but either way, he dies so quickly. Anyway, self-destruct laid out. Ends up getting the double. I could see him at least getting Aiden there. I'm surprised Aiden got caught up in that one too, but that being beside the point, they were already in a great position with that. Just happening to get the kills off the self-destruct specifically. It's about another 40 seconds of lost time here now for CC.
There's Nano being deployed initially from Aim God as well, and someone, yeah, he did get hacked by the EMP, couldn't jump away. And even despite the Nano, ends up being drilled down. So IE with a great counterplay there. The secondary EMP much more successful, like you said. Dragon Strike to start things up for CC. Maybe we'll get a player down.
That's good. They actually managed to isolate a Peach there, split him off from the rest of the team, and now Roxanne kind of stuck off the side. Frong popped the Transcendence to keep him alive, but that can only go so far. Now Roxanne's down. Frong is in the line of fire next. CC back in possession of the cart. Even a late isolation on Shock, who was still kind of hanging close to the cart that I think he needed to be. I think he and Enocast were going to go for a bit of a brave play. Ends up being that CC are back in control.
Okay. IE have ultimates to play through. Slam into a Dragon Strike. Definitely available. Primal for someone. CC have a lot of staying power as well. Payload in control. Enocast in a bit of trouble here.
The slam not quite what he wanted it to be, and ends up taking a huge amount of damage. And it has put the minefield out, but they're not quite willing to go for the Dragon Strike just yet. Shock is corralled in the corner by someone. Has to just toss it out across the cart. They need to get contesting, but a Peach is down. Someone has done an excellent job of stopping people getting to this one. Now Roxanne's next. They're barely keeping members alive here in Incendia, which means they're barely even touching the cart. So unless Uaina and Frong can go for something absolute dynamite, I don't think it's going to happen. And with that EMP, it will be the death knell for IE. who were just a fraction of a hair off some potential turnaround ultimates, but at the end of the day, starting to see more of what we expected out of CC.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the final ultimate's coming through from CC as well. Nano onto someone, giving him a lot of value. We traded Dragon Strikes. Innovation closes the door with an EMP. And that's going to be it. Any chance for Frog and Ueda to save the day? I mean, they were both very close to their ultimates, but taken down before IE could really stall for much longer. If they had stalled for longer, they would have gone into their own trans plus EMP, and I could actually see them clutching that through with just those two ultimates, plus in a respawn advantage, but CC have plenty alive and plenty of firepower at the end, and will secure things with a 103 time bank. It's reasonable. It's very serviceable time bank, not flashy, not awful. Above 1 minute, importantly, and now IE on their own offense. We'll see what we're going to start with. We're not going to get the full idea just yet. We have had a few situations now where IE, particularly Shock, who likes to play the Silencer, expected possibly an Orisa matchup, and, you know, Easy Han going over towards the Hanzo. Someone hasn't played too much of that, but now on the defense, someone is, which is going to be great news for IE, and even beyond that as well. If they want to try and really counter this Orisa, you can see that a Peach and Front were kind of hovering over the BAP Zen lineup on the back end, which will be really strong.
Now it feels like it's more a time thing than anything else. Obviously for IE on this offense. Worth noting as well, I think one major thing was CC started shutting down some of that real dynamite playmaking that we had been seeing out of IE, both on the early stages of the defense, and also obviously back on Lijiang Tower. So like I said, CC starting to look a bit more like their old selves.
Are you going to be changing up quite significantly away from any sort of mirror composition? I think InnoCast has been really favoring the ball today. To be fair, it's been good ball gameplay. Shock will still be on the Hans, obviously great pick. Everybody else moving over towards a standard dive, and that's actually kind of okay for CC because they start Aiden on the brig, but they would probably hope that it would be dive they play into. Now we'll see what IE want to do in terms of rotations around. The opening damage trade is going to go in the favor of CC.
IE just kind of slow on the approach here. They need to set up their firing lines a little bit first. You can also see Shock and Easy Han in a bit of a pitched battle there, which is certainly slowing down the former. That's huge! Threads the needle with the shield down for just a brief moment. That is immense. This is a huge window now for IE.
Absolutely. Team CC in a bit of trouble here. I mean, Innovation, Easy Han took a bunch of damage there as well with a Shock second kill. IE should more than have this point under lock.
I mean, huge little thing around the backside there as well, actually. InnoCast nearly went down. He didn't, and that meant that Easy Han was not firing at the point. He was not suppressing Shock, who was able to pick up another kill. So InnoCast, even if he had died, it was still giving IE advantage on the point itself in terms of unlocking Shock, and off the back of the entire passage of play. Not overly worried about it on the 8
I'm going to be honest, I don't know where Easy Han's Dragon Strike went, because he got a Dragon Strike there. I heard him use it. I didn't see it rake across the point. That's where it usually would go.
Me neither.
Part of me thinks he might have misfired that. Possibly it went in the wrong direction. He could have fired it completely. Could have been a whiff. He could have fired it.
Maybe he tried to go for went for a 360 no scope, but only made it 270.
Yeah, and that would completely screw you. And usually it'd be quite telling because you'd see the tail of the dragon, but it was nowhere near the A point. So wherever it was way off the mark. So that is going to be something they would like back if they could. Now Shock will have his temple dragon. Here it is.
All right, you can't see it.
A long-range dragon to finish off a Unicast.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? That guy got away, and I'm bothered by it. But first of all, just the Dragon Strike making a bit of space. Easy Han actually gets into the backside of Roxanne, who is going to get Z-Max. Nice stick as well there. Ueda able to take out the Supercharger as it's just two glowing Robo-Monks. Incendia taking the brunt of it now as the brawl kind of playing out with CC ultimately more entrenched behind someone's shields with Easy Han on a nice little angle as well. So nice clean up there, CC. Going to force a very big reset.
Supercharger doing quite a decent amount of damage, at least to start things out with. Clean reset into a 6v6, but when the dust settles there, CC, like you said, entrenched for it pretty firmly. Aiden actually got a bunch of damage in the fight there as well. So now let's take a look at where CC can hold with their ultimates. Still around the bookshop. Still 3 in tow as well. Shock looking for an angle.
Look to see how Incendia look to break this one again. So far, their sort of entry playmaking has been great. Really nice split off there. Frog not able to get onto the correct side of the Dragon Strike. Even InnoCast going down on the flank as Innovation outflanks. That being said, Yuena's cracked one with someone. Ends up trading his life. I think if that hadn't been a trade, this could have been Incendia's opportunity to just lean into a bit of a closer respawn on especially InnoCast, who should be able to get back to the fight quickly. Instead, CC force another pretty brutal reset.
That's going to be very costly on the time here as well, i.e. themselves and their own defense, I don't think really had this kind of 2 fights in a row where they reset, the attacking team, a lot of time being lost. CC also had quite a bit of time walking onto B as well after they got that one and done via the sleep dart from Aim God. It was really C where CC lost most of their time, and IE currently it's well more than a minute, maybe even 2 minutes gone from this offense so far just on the speed point.
It's been a really big slowdown. As I said, it was all about time here. Now losing a Peach early, which also means not max value out of the rally. It's back very little compared to Aiden's value, especially with Frongen as well. The rest of IE very vulnerable. All going to get dropped. Another really hard reset forced here. So at this point, CC are looking pretty ironclad on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, Peach goes down very quickly. That was almost instantaneous. They got barely any armor off of that rally at all. With Frong following, it's all over from there. If you lose double supports, there's just simply no way. So, rough situation all around for Team IE is, like, for all the great work they did on their own defense, so they can't get past B, it doesn't really mean anything, because CC have locked this down. 5 ultimates still available.
And now, even just getting harassed on the flank here, not able to set up anything. They just kind of have to keep barreling down the middle, and that's exactly where CC want to keep IE, because they can sit pretty behind the Orisa, who is way overstepped there. It's 2 for 2, though. Easy Heart has rescued this play so far, because that was a bit of a danger zone play for CC. Nearly getting punished in a big way. Currently a 4v4, closer respawn for IE, so they're going to wait for those respawners. They'll get back in control of the card, but time is not on their side.
I mean, technically, CC still win that one because IE reset back to neutral. They have to respect it. They have no supports alive at all. CC don't want to push in because they know the respawn advantage technically falls within IE's hands. And both teams in a 4v4 will, just call it a bit of a treaty. Shock, instantly down. Beautiful. So there it is. Peace treaty ended. CC back to action.
They have to go for a tempo trans here. They've only got about a minute remaining, and they need to make something of it. They can't afford to get hard reset again. This is going to be having to deal with someone's supercharger. They're really hunkering down around it. This is so tough. Roxanne end up takes the brunt of the damage there in her castle. So going down on the flank once again. Dragon Strike, long range from Shock just to try and dislodge this position. But IE, they are scattered to the 4 winds here. Someone has gone to the wind of the west, trying to take out these couple of members, separate off to the side. Successful DMEC on Roxanne, and now Aiden over on the winds to the east, looking to take out the remaining backline members. Aim God, tempo transcendence to push on top of IE. They know that if they can force kills here, they can force a big reset now, then IE will not have enough left to get back in control of the cart with just 15 seconds left.
Aim God goes down to 1 HP there, doesn't die there. Pulse bomb from UNF, sadly not landing. It would have been pretty fat as well. Last couple of frags coming on in. IE running out of members. It has to be Enocash touching ideally with the minefield as well. If IE cannot have Enocash surviving and he dies, this might be it.
He at least got the touch, and he actually takes a minefield down that kills EasyHard, who was busy channeling Dragon Strike, but nobody else is able to get to the cart because of the other defense there. So this is more what we were expecting out of CC. The buck has officially stopped for Incendia. That real spark, that dynamite playmaking, it just starts to run short for them as CC really come into their own on the playmaking front.
And that means, once again, that we're not going to have a hybrid that goes to time back. We have one more match to see if it does or not. But difficult, and this is where you have to, in the context of the entire season now, especially with all the data presented, the huge, what was the term I'm looking for here? Huge sample size, what I'm trying to say here, in terms of examples of how many times hybrid just being able to finish the map is actually a lot of value. So you look at that 1 minute remaining on the time bank for CC, but then you remember, if most teams can't actually finish the map, that's a huge amount of time. That's actually excellent. So I think, when you now reviewing a lot of hybrid maps in this season across these teams, I think you shift expectations from like, well, does this look good in terms of a time bank, to actually, like, it doesn't matter. Can they just cap at all? So any time bank is good. And that lens, CC played excellently on Kings, especially that A point. I think gave them so much value. Sleep dart, instant kill to Shock, 6v5 snowball, and that buys them most of what they need to get through the map.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Incendia managed to claw back another minute off the clock on that A defense, but when you consider CC still capped with over a minute remaining, and then Incendia didn't even cap B. I mean, the gulf is pretty wide. It's pretty clear what the difference is between these two teams, which is a bit of a shame, because Incendia, I think there's been some really promising stuff, but also this is actually the form we expected to see CC in at any rate. So Not at all unsurprising. We'll have to see if that continues, though, after the break, because obviously it's tied up 1-1. It's not the smoothest ride so far for CC, the current favorites. We'll have to see if they continue to perform after the break. Welcome back. It's 1-1. One of my favorite score lines. It's really right up there with 2-2. I would say that's my single favorite score line, all things considered. You know, I'm not as big a fan of like 3-1 as an end result, but I will say I think that might be what we're heading towards here. CC starting to see them return to form a little bit after Incendia really came out the gate swinging on control, ended up winning Lijiang Tower, but I got to say King's Row was significantly one-sided.
You get to see them bounce back. Is that what you're trying to say? As got to get the low-hanging fruit here. Moving on to Rialto now. More important map for Hanzo gameplay.
Just it reminds me of like when I was little, there was a thing we'd do that was like a sailor went to CCC to see what he could CCC, and then like each time you did it, you removed another word. So like you would remove the word C as in like SEA, and then you'd remove the word C as in like SEE, and you'd like remove a different one each time, and you still had to do it right. Just reminds me of that like word game.
I don't think there's any other words.
Youth.
I think after SEA and SEE that I know other words.
Well, no, because you remove like sailor as well. Like you don't just remove the C words.
So all the S words then.
All the S words.
Speaking of one S word that's been taken out, Shocker's gone and Top Dragon's back in. Do you like that transition? I did it.
That was actually really slick as far as segues go.
It was quite good. Even got confirmation from our producer that was very, very nice. I'm adding that to my show reel indeed. This Team CC on the defense. Farah is going to be the start here.
All right then.
With Easy Hunt on a soldier. That's quite an interesting pick. I would have expected the Hanzo. It's just it's a safer pick. I think what Soldier's going to bring to the table here is that Top Dragon has the possibility of starting out on fire, or indeed maybe Uena. And the Soldier's going to have a little bit more safety against that rather than just going straight Hanzo, and you'd need a brilliant Hanzo to do anything against Safara.
All right. So despite the CC in the name, they're going for something a little bit more airborne. In fact, we've got the dogfight situation involved, so both teams are going to be looking for a little bit of AA as well. That is the
anti-air.
Yeah, anti-air, not like the car insurance company. I realized that I did leave that one a little bit ambiguous for our Canadian viewers.
So not Alcoholics Anonymous then? Okay, understood.
No. It's the C stands for sobriety.
Right. As no, I can't. I don't have anything to really.
There's nothing good
there.
Yeah. I really didn't leave you with much in all fairness.
Top Dragon's really just
solid hit.
Drunk on good damage right now. Boom.
Drunk on, yeah.
That's the best I can do for you. You're gonna
Honestly,
have to take it.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Like I said, I didn't leave you with much, so I feel like you really, you've made the best out of a bad situation. Aim God is first to the mark with the nano boost, but not by much, so we'll have to see how it actually gets deployed. Do it right on top of it with innovation.
Oh,
and Peach goes down to easy hard with the Helix rockets, and innovation completely nails Top Dragon. Beautiful stuff. Finds Frong as well, so maximum value there. And really great play, by the way, setting that one up actually with easy hard, ready to put pressure on a Peach so that it wasn't going to be an easily matchable nano boost. You really saw CC prep for that play.
Yeah, brilliant stuff coming through from innovation, just slapping down those opposition. I.e. losing Uena as well. That's a little bit upsetting. Don't even need a nano boost for that one. Just a damage boost of rockets enough to take down a Tracer any time of the day. So that's your first minute and 2 gone. And this, by the way, Soldier pick is starting to find a little bit more extra value as well. And this is what Easy Harms may be hoping for. Top Dragon feeling the difference here. Now he's not changing. He's just waiting for Frong. Feeling the difference being that he has to deal with innovation in the air, and then on top of that, Easy Han from the ground. So you have anti-air in the sky. Surface to air on the ground as well. That's a Sam. Not the name of the person, but description of the damage. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice stuff. That's at least a 2 for 1 before he goes down, so damage certainly done. We all feeling the heat as well as you aim to find someone. CC on the back foot pretty sorely. Good res onto innovation. They've used the self-destruct to create a bit of space, but it's still IE on the front foot here. Innovation needs to finish this one off. Will get a Peach with the splash, and the rocket barrage out as well. Ends up mostly getting covered by Roxanne, but that does leave Roxanne a little vulnerable. Has to reset with the self-destruct. We'll be able to remech as well, as now it's Inocast's turn to be under the line of fire. Frong finds a spare moment to res Peach back into the fight, and suddenly it's a full 6v6 with IE starting to come up on rotation. The minefield's going to be available. Pulse bomb does go wide. Inocast having a bit of a wee nap after putting out the minefield. He was all tuckered out after committing the ultimate. Someone okay, never mind. Top Dragon finds the splash damage onto Easy Han, so there's at least a trade there. The card has stopped.
Correct damage even, just Easy Han nowhere to go. In front of you is going to be Mines, behind you is going to be Gafara. Top Dragon barely alive at this stage. 30 or something HP was at the lowest that I saw him go on, and Easy Han gets raised anyway, so CC still had members available. 45 seconds left to go for IE, and Peach desperately needs to live here. He dies.
Yeah, it's really, really rough. Someone going deep in to find that, but I think that's a mistake because he gets traded out and a Peach just gets rezzed. But as I say that, Top Dragon dies to his counterpart. Aim God dies to his counterpart. And then Frog just dies to Innovation, the good old-fashioned way, who then is able to deal with a Peach with the help of Wuyol. So no supports left here. Actually, for either side, though, Aim God will be back to the fight quicker. This is a real big time stoppage, though. This should be CC getting back on top of things in this last little bit of the fight, but, I mean, this is down to the wire for them for sure.
I mean, this is starting to really remind me of Kings Row B all over again. It's Team CC.
They're not
in a situation when they're just immovable. Ultimate's available here. Nano on both sides here. Should go both to the fires. Top Dragon's down.
Ooh, yeah, that's really brutal. Really, really brutal. No two ways about it. A Peach now. Just absolutely devastating. No use of the Nano. All the ultimates at the disposal of CC. So huge stoppage and looking like it should be a pretty clean walk to 2-1 result so far for CC.
Now look back on the opening composition, especially for CC, and I look at Easy Hunt on that Soldier, and I just think, man, that Soldier actually added a lot of value. Because sure, Tracer can be good. Not gonna lie to you, Yuena on this Tracer can definitely find something, but the problem is you're not gonna get Tracer into action until you open up the map, and a lot of this map was closed up while we were in the choke before we entered the courtyard. Soldier's just gonna have more value at that stage. Yuena has to outperform the extra output that Easy Hunt is bringing on the Soldier to kind of then, I guess, justify their own Tracer pick and deny the Soldier pick from Easy Hunt, because it's reasonably greedy to play a Soldier here. But at the same time, I just couldn't get more done. Yuena wasn't on form to do anything against Easy Hunt or the rest of the back line. Wasn't being checked. I mean, it should be a pretty straight up matchup in terms of straightforward matchup in terms of there's no check for a flank at all. There's no Sombra checking you. There's no Tracer meeting you on the flanks, going for the 1v1s. No marking of any kind. And that really sways the fire matchup heavily in Innovation's favor, which is why you saw Top Dragon not get nearly as much value. Innovation controlled that entire defense, and IE struggled to get past that fire.
We'll have to see how well they play on the defense now. Actually back into the Pharaoh mirror as well. This is going to be a pretty tall order for Incendia. There's no two ways about it. Really going to need to get the ball rolling, especially with those EMPs. Right. That needs to be big for them.
And that's going to be the answer from IE as well, because, okay, you might not want to play Tracer at the opening area. Again, it's quite hard for Tracer to get full value here. Sombra ends up being the answer, but can they find the right hack? So far, the one for Innovation is good, but no follow-up. They can't quite get the frag, as Top Dragon also wasn't there for an extra rocket collection. And now as the fires marking each other, you have a 4v4 on the other side. Oh, great hits.
Ooh, good kill. Really good kill. That does mean that Innovation is to back off from the dogfight. Top Dragon can start getting a couple of rockets on other members, maybe get a bit of an ult lead. Doesn't actually get too much out of it, because he has to take a longer path around, funnily enough. So both running a bit even. There we go, another one on a support now. Inocast down. We'll have to see if Inocast is resable here. Someone's getting burned down hard. That's an important kill. Inocast has not been rezzed. Aim God has, but Innovation's down. So Incendia are only staying in this just by sheer merit of keeping on top of the frags. They're waiting for Inocast to take the long walk back still.
A piece nearly coming onto Nano as well, because Aim God, you know, he kind of did fall in the middle of the fight as well. He's a fair bit behind. This is going to give Top Dragon a bit of an advantage. I think defensive fire is going to have more angles to work, but obviously it's going to be more difficult for Innovation this time around to do what he did on that defensive side. So there's one area for Top Dragon to get that advantage. It's got to be here, but he needs to win this air versus air duel.
And I mean, this is really dicey with the way it's actually playing out. A laser Nano onto Top Dragon, going for a longer range duel. Really aggressive play there from Innovation. It ends up being that it's the ground game where things work out for Incendia. They just get a frag onto someone, and obviously Aiden can't leave the pocket of Innovation. Because now the brawl continuing on the ground. Innovation needs to get back in the air pretty quick. Smart Top Dragon is all over him.
And mind the Divas injecting themselves into this fire duel as well. You did see that Hell was doing a bit of pocketing there for Innovation. Make sure he was going to go down to the Halt as the EMP.
Nice shutdown.
4. Brilliant.
Yeah, really great shutdown on the dive there on someone who thought he saw a tasty morsel on the back line. At this point, Incendia have really kept this card on lockdown. You're starting to see the possibility. It's over half the total time elapsed and still with an ultimate advantage. Actually, not so much anymore without the Valkyrie. Never mind.
I mean, you were starting to see a possibility for a fuller hold to come on through, but yeah, with the Valkyrie down, Supercharger being the play now for this defense. I mean, a Nano coming through onto Innovation again, far ahead of schedule in terms of what the defense is ready for, because the Peach doesn't quite have it. In fact, the Veinbar just goes now. He's got a massive advantage. Innovation's dead.
That's so enormous. What are they going to do now? CC, that was an important ace in the sleeve. And now the damage coming down to the back line is the D.Va, Wuyarl having to work overtime to keep Top Dragon off these supports, but it can only do so much. Can't mark everyone. That's a really risky one over the canal, but it pays off for Aiden. Doesn't get punished. Inocast is slept. The Peach goes down. No Nano. This is important for CC. This is where they could break out. They have to commit Frong for a res. Someone down on the ground. Pulse bomb in. Nice landing. Roxanne not quite able to self-destruct to reset. The Nano boost on Inocast. He's been slept and CC'd and has barely got the full mileage. But Aiden, one more rocket slips away around the corner. Now Top Dragon finds himself extremely isolated. At least takes down 2 with him. No res to come through for Frog. They're going to have to dive for this cart. It's just barely doable.
Absolutely. IE can still hold this one with Uana coming up into an EMP now. Peach nearly even landing that sleep dart. While Top Dragon was trying to find the duel, or at least trying to find the damage on Aiden, Innovation was getting busy on the back line of IE, farming up everybody with that Nano into play. Aiden down though. Excellent first pick.
10 seconds left as well. It's just a straight man advantage for IE. They've got an EMP to play through as well. CC, they actually might not do this. 5 seconds left now. He's back on in a brig. I don't know if I like that. I mean, Innovation's just alone in the skies now as the rocket barrage will have no support for it. Izzy Hart has to blow the recall. Had to be the one to go for the touch. Eyes on Uana. Forced to use the EMP. Top Dragon's down. Low value EMP, but they will still finish someone off. There's no res available on either side. Innovation finds one on Frog. But Peach has got to be the one to do all of the support work now. Self-destruct. Huge finding Innovation. Sorry, Aim God rather. Innovation just dies the regular way. The Nano gets given it to Roxanne, and I tell you, he is going to make hay while the sun is shining. They don't quite stop Wuyarl from remeching, but they will still re-demech him as much as Peach goes down. Frog is on his way back in. Incendia barely staying ahead in the fight, and look at that.
We don't visit B point or C point of Reality at all, but I don't mind what I saw in terms of both the defensive plays. A fuller hole from Incendia Evolution. It was looking lights out. It was looking like curtains for IE. I'm not going to lie, it was a full hole from Team CC, and usually that's going to be it. I mean, most teams are looking at that situation like it's very unlikely to see a fuller hole come on through. I am not sure about Team CC swapping Aiden from the Mercy to the Brig. Because I'll tell you this much. Innovation still had a barrage. For this barrage to really find full value, first of all, you got to heal him just to keep him alive during the barrage. Second of all, a damage boost is what's going to get you the kills to secure you these frags. Innovation can't really play the game as a Pharah without the Mercy Pocket. And that's always going to be the weakness of a Pharah, is that Pharah needs a Mercy Pocket. Without the Mercy Pocket, what are you really doing as the Pharah? It's quite tough. So he pops their barrage in, eats a manual hack straight away, and that's it. That's going to be the entire thing done and dusted. So there is, you know, some praise for Uana there as well to make sure that that hack did come on through, because there wasn't anything else. I don't believe I saw Roxanne come in with a defensive matrix. Might have been Din, not too sure there. But strange decision for Aiden to go to the Brig. I'm not too sure the Brig really did too much either, so no. I'm not going to say that's the only reason. Certainly Top Dragon and the rest of IE did a great job of bleeding down the timer to start with, to put CC in a difficult situation, and then in that very difficult situation, it's IE that clutch on through and that CC that fall apart.
Yeah, Roxanne has really come out big as well, both, you know, on that initial defense, but just in general, has done a lot to hold down the fort and mitigate a huge amount of the damage that's come out. So, I mean, this has turned everything completely on its head, right? Like after CC get the holds in the courtyard, I sort of go like, okay, yep, that's it, right? Like this is just going to be a repeat of Kings Row, where CC are just way better. They have way better on the defense. They'll be absolute dynamite on the offense. But Incendia proved me wrong. Absolutely happy to be proved wrong there as well, because this is gloriously exciting. This is keeping it very, very competitive.
For an undercard match, I mean, this is pretty great so far. And you know what would be even funnier is if somehow O2 versus T1 ends up being a 3-0. This ends up being this game is the more competitive one, if that's the reality we move through.
And I wouldn't rule out that possibility, by the way.
Who knows?
It could well be that O2 are just that good. So, like, full possibility.
Who knows? We'll see. I mean, I don't want to rule T1 out either, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, true.
But currently, as it stands, this is not comfortable for CC. To put it back into context, CC need to win at least one more map here to, at minimum, retain their second C+ position. If they lose the next map, and it's a 3-1 result to IE, that's it. CC go to play-ins. They lose their second seed, so they must win the next map. We've already come up to a must-win map for CC. And that's
which is wild.
Yeah.
Like,
the good news is they can win the next map, then lose map 5, and it doesn't matter. It still looks bad because I dropped the game here, and they'll have a 2-2 record that looks kind of weird for a top 4 team. I have to use kind of air quotes now because it seems like they're the weakest of the top 4 teams. And maybe you look back, you rewind the clock a little bit here, go back to week 1, and we say, oh, CC lost, 3-0 versus Talent Esports. But if CC is currently the weakest of those 4 teams, that actually makes a lot of sense. Because Talent look indomitable, T1, O2 right up there. CC is the only outlier in terms of a team that also had that close game versus WGS. Talent, for the most part, dominated WGS. I mean, you could say that, WGS took it close, but let's be real, still a 3-0. I don't think we had any doubts that Talent were going to win that series. So the difference is, I think CC and Mate might just this season so far be one step below, one tier below, possibly.
There's been a couple of other bogeys in the record for CC as well. I'm reminiscent of the match against GC Busan, where, overall CC were better,
maps.
but 2 things to, 5 maps, one of which was a draw, admittedly, so 5 maps, but a 3-1 result. But, the draw, look, sometimes that happens on Assault, but also, there have been enough results that haven't been a draw that, it's not like it's just this guaranteed thing that, sometimes it's this outlier. A team still has to play well to force a draw, right? And then actually Blizzard World was the real outlier there on the hybrid, where, it was so extremely one-sided in favor of GC Busan. So, there have been those weird little bogeys here and there, and I mean, this has been the biggest of them all, right? Not only the loss on Control, but then to pick up this loss on Rialto as well. It's Incendia on match point.
And that's
even if CC win, this is the first time ever they have been taken to match point against a team that isn't Talon.
I'm annoyed you stole my point there, and that's not allowed.
Tough.
And
copyright it.
Greedy of you. So,
copyright it like a Magic the Gathering deck.
Didn't know you can do that. But
well, me neither until just yesterday. Apparently, you can't do that.
Okay, well, I didn't see what Wizards has to say about that as we move over to Volsky Industry. No Wizards here. It's all machine technology and industry. Engineering is what they're using. As I would look at this and say the possibility of a 3-1 for Incendia Evolution to engineer that one is suddenly quite high. Because a fuller hold on Rialto, really impressive. Li Jung as well, dominating, 2-0. Including that last sub-map, that second sub-map, absolutely dynamite. Shock back in over Top Dragon, okay, some more Hanzo gameplay for IE, I suppose.
Seems to be the way, and I do think that's sensible, actually, on Volskaya. Not that this is at all a thing, by the way, but it is worth noting that Incendia have won when Top Dragon is in and lost when Shock has been in, at least in the course of this match.
Shocking.
Very small sample size, make no mistake, but technically true. And that is the best kind of analysis, the kind that is
one of those things
true.
Where you're like, well, it has to be said.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to play devil's advocate here.
I will say causation does not equal correlation. I don't know if that's how that goes.
The other way around.
Correlation does not equal causation. Is that how it is?
That is how it is.
So the point I'm trying to get to is here that the jury's out on that one in terms of if if that's the reason why IE are winning and losing. We're about to find out. Hack comes through on someone.
It's gonna be fine for now. AimGod's the one who's in a bit more trouble, and I mean, Shock and Ueno are just on an absolute tear on these flanks. This is looking quite seriously threatening. CC have been able to recover now. Still pulling back, losing ground as Incendia are setting up their first rotation onto the point now. Kaz needed to stay alive there.
Incendia are defending, so they're okay right now. What they are not able to do is stop CC from rotating over towards the cap, as CC are in a great position now. CC might not be going to high ground just yet. Hang on
Other
a
way
second.
around.
This interception could be good.
Basically take everything I just said and completely swap the 2 team names around. I don't know how I pulled that one off, but at any rate, Roxanne now with an absolute whale load of charge.
Whale over time.
Needs to not die though. Hello, that was a bit of an oops. I mean, they had an opportunity to maybe push back against CC. It's going to completely backfire, and CC, pretty comfortable cap, all things considered.
Peach also getting the rare Sleep Dark kill feel on AimGod as well. I do appreciate that one and call that one out and give it a high five, as IE will now not be able to hold at all. decent attempt at intercepting CC's rotation there. They play the nano, Inocast dives in. Good damage on the CC, but couldn't quite clean it up. Ends up being that CC walk away with a ton of ultimates. I mean, this could be 6 ults here. You're not that far away either. It should be 4 ults versus 6 ults. This Uranus EMP that I'm looking out for, though. This could be the deal breaker, really.
Roxanne having to reset all of that charge. Always a heartbreaker. I hate having to see it. That's a long-range grab. Roxanne definitely gets the worst end of that trade. Good kill, it's easy hard, but honestly, the damage has been done. Shocker's keeping Incendia in this fight, but only barely a Peach. Needs some ideal nano targets here. Roxanne's going to be coming back out on a Diva. There's still this EMP, so here, this is Incendia's opportunity, going straight in with it. Immediately responded with Aim God, who read the play completely. They do still get a kill onto Aiden. That could be enough to turn the tide with the respawn advantage. Now the sleep onto someone just takes the pressure off Incendia, who at this point are about to force a reset on CC if they can get just a little bit more success, or at the very least force a bit more ground.
CC need to try and ban out this Primal Rage and possibly then the rally as well. If they can keep this fight going and get 2 more ultimates and then back out and reset, that would be plus value for Team CC. That would give them a lot to work with for future fights. But now that we've fully reset across the board on both ends, it's not looking great for CC. They might as well have gone back to spawn. Good catch on a Peach though.
And Aim God drops Inocast, so suddenly it's just completely opened up. Frog, devastatingly low, is going to get picked off. I mean, it's just a complete disaster. What was a great reset suddenly turns into an absolute belly flop from Incendia.
No Primal. That's the second time, by the way. I didn't call that out the first time because I gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, maybe I is just resetting anyway. Maybe Chaos doesn't want to wait, so they're just waiting for teammates. They will give away 2 ticks here, play the full 6v6. But that last one was inexcusable. And by the way, for what it's worth, Aim God twice in a row was the person that drilled down Inocast and killed him before the Primal Rage came out. And I was looking at IE thinking they shouldn't lose this. I was saying that CC, if they bet out a Primal plus a rally, they're in a good place. IE don't get to use a Primal or a rally. Both players are simply just dead. And it starts with that Pulse Bomb onto a Peach. A little bit of splash damage. So I can't remember quite exactly who the splash damage went onto. It was either Frong or Roxanne. Went onto
Frong, who wasn't able to recover his health.
And then dies.
So
and then couldn't rally. All of that. So, IE. Wow, 1 Pulse Bomb to end it all. And honestly, part of this is also just IE's own. They tripped over their own shoelaces as well because they couldn't pull the trigger on certain ultimates.
Weirdly enough, it's actually more like what we saw in King's Row. Not in a huge kind of way. In all fairness, there were other pieces to King's Row. Like, at any rate, though, 4 minutes. I mean, it's doable. Don't get me wrong. In fact, a great momentum push will absolutely do it. We'll have to see how well IE can actually execute on the offense, though.
401. That's quite dangerous. That is a dangerous time bank.
Yeah.
And that's because Team CC got that A point in what is technically a 1 and done. It was a 1 attempt. It was a slow 1 attempt, but
245.
Doesn't need to be a super fast 1 attempt. It's just you just got to get it across the line here. So overall, what is that? 7 minutes, 2:59 is what they got in. 2 minutes and 59 for both points. Beautiful stuff. And that was even, honestly speaking, probably 2 attempts on B as well. So 1 minute per fight. Good tempo.
Super fast reset on B was a big part of that. They only actually lost the 1 member on the initial B push is a real part of that. So they're only waiting for the 1 respawn. It was a relatively speedy one as well. But that all being the case.
So IE, by the way, because they're not playing a Winston on this attacking side, they need to be thinking harder about how they're rotating. Currently, this is too slow for my liking.
Yeah.
They need to be setting up for something a lot faster. There's nothing in terms of a waiting game that they are playing for. You're not waiting for an nano here. So here it is, finally the rotation through.
First one is a success, at the very least. Now here comes the next little piece of it. They've actually managed to catch CC in the counter rotation. Q1 to find easy hard. They've still got Wu Yao on the ropes. Aiden, in fact, might yet go down. And that is huge. That was a nano committed as well. So if they can finish this off, rotate, get the cap, then they could go in to B with a huge momentum push.
This is identical to pretty much exactly how CC's attack went. You're looking into the mirror right now. We might as well just be rewatching that first attack all over, which is to say that
I'm more than happy to do.
Which is, let's say that one team on the defense with the Winston and the Nano played it.
Well,
both Winstons have been dying. IE gets walking through as CC did.
You remember on the initial A push on CC's attacking up, and I got the two teams' names switched over. It was actually just me being clairvoyant. I was just seeing into the future there.
Do tell. What are we getting a draw? What happens now?
I don't know. I've run out of space.
That's
so
unfortunate.
Yeah. What is going to happen though is IE going to lose a Peach. Traded out for aim guard though. Nice catch on innovation. That's a man advantage now. So even with losing a Peach, there's some potential. Especially with the Peach coming back in, they need to keep throwing alive. They actually might want to Felpa Transcendence sooner rather than later. Yeah, there it goes now. Looking to finish off Easy Han while that one's running and get some pressure on the point itself. This is a big opportunity. The grab is good though. Wuyal's down. They found Shock on the site. That's decent. Someone is under pressure as the rally comes in from a Peach Aiden just a bit behind on his. They've got the CC on someone. They're going to be able to dispatch him and get the environmental on Aim God. There's very few people here who can even benefit from the rally as Aiden finally gets that one running. If they can just finish off these last few members, they could well match the time, or even better, have a better time. I don't think they actually quite will. I think they'll come in just a little bit behind the 401. Ooh, that's a big Bionade. Roxanne is in trouble, especially with the Nano, but no, they keep it on lockdown. Roxanne gets topped off. Oh, look at it. Dead on the mark.
I have never seen that.
Joking.
But they ended on exactly the 401. Same time. Exactly the same time. To the second. Look, we don't count nanoseconds in games like this. So we don't know where the microseconds were after that. Nanosecond, microsecond, you know, you want another decimal point, whatever.
Micro, then nano.
Okay, sure.
Actually, milliseconds, then microseconds.
And then nano, and then extremely small, and then...
Wow, you don't need to come at me like that.
And then, like... atomic seconds. I'm just making stuff up now. What is true is that, you know, really, we don't know who got that faster. It is wild to me that both teams, sure, okay, B was a little bit different. There wasn't like this reset into an attack. It was kind of just like a slow one attempt from IE. This already reminds me of Rialto, where CC got a brilliant start, full hold, and IE come back with a fuller hold. And now, I mean, sure, it's not quite the same in that response, but it's essentially what I'm saying is IE respond in equal measure, if not greater. And here it is literally equal. I mean, both teams just on 2 minutes, and IE go again. They just go again. Okay, they'll take it. I actually don't know how the rules work when both teams have equal time, but apparently, I guess the team that just attacked goes again.
I think it might just default to most recent, or it could be that it inherently switches.
I mean, it never happens. So I've never needed to know who goes with equal time. So
it could be. I mean, maybe the devs don't even know.
Maybe
there's just a coin flip somewhere under the hood.
CC did actually have the advantage. Possibly if there were milliseconds counted, but that's all behind the scenes stuff.
At any rate, what's worth noting is actually both teams took a little bit over 2 minutes to get their first A cap. Actually, that might be a lie. I think CC were over, IE were just under. That being beside the... No, they were both slightly over. It's about 2:45 on the clock for both of them on the A cap, actually. Shock's down in this initial bit, so that's a big slowdown for IE. About half the time going to be gone now.
And with that, I think the capability for us to draw is now exponentially increased. I think if IE had a bit more time to play with, and they maybe get a cap here. Yeah, this is going poorly.
Oh, look at the damage coming out of Wuyao right now. They nearly... Oh, that's huge. Hold on, that's enormous. They lose someone as well. Faster respawn for IE. Make no mistake. Even with the loss of Uena, this could be huge. I mean, Innovation is clawing his back, but faster respawn for IE. That's all it is.
While the problem there is Shock going down late presents a problem because CC now have their members respawning, returning, whereas Shock has only just spawned. So IE technically don't have 6 yet. By the time Shock has rejoined the team, probably both teams have their 4 members already. So 30 seconds remaining, and if it wasn't for heroics from Innovation, Uena might have just won that for IE.
They are just looking to stop the initial third here, if nothing else. If the third gets capped, then guaranteed there's no draw. There we go. No draw. Not going to happen. Looks like I had enough spice today. Looking to even get a second, third.
I mean, you didn't make a
still
prediction,
waiting for their approach here. Wuyal's down early in the bounce. The Nano onto someone. He's in deep, but it's maybe too deep. He's not quite getting enough done. They even plink off aim guard off the side.
Wow.
Shock, another one. Dude's on the off angle on an absolute tear. Nice with the Sonic Arrow, has the eye lines, knows his targets. Easy cleanup. They're going to be able to get this. And can they even momentum push on to B?
It will be tough. I think this is probably where the buck stops because Team CC have a lot of ultras on the defense. You could say that, oh, so do IE, but There's Primal. Primal is going to be most likely the tool that stops things. Primal will almost always guarantee a second wave of respawns. It stalls for just an absurd amount of time here. Plus grabs Dragon combo. We'll see if he can survive things with Frog. They need that trans.
Huge grab from Wuyol. Super quick, yeah. Innovation straight in with it. The Dragon Strike back the other way only finds Easy Hard. They're going to dive for it. Might even be able to pick up a third. Just a little bit of a margin of safety. But it's looking like this is where it's all going to come down. Frog now dead to Primal. Late grab. Solo grab, really. Actually, Roxanne's still alive. Only just barely. But honestly, I think the damage has long since been done. Not able to get back to the point. Dies to his own right click even.
I have some bad news for you. Because they don't get a tick on B, the possibility of a draw is suddenly opened up again.
It is back open.
Yeah,
there is
back
also
on the table.
Yeah. Sure.
So we'll have to see how that goes. As CC have all the work to do to, I'm sure, like, okay, if CC don't cap A, then, you know, it's over. But if they do cap A, it's, I would say most likely a draw. If they cap A, it is heavily favored to be a draw. You would need IE to have similar defensive resources in terms of ultimates available. Really, it comes down to how clean can CC get it done, because both teams, at least in the regulation time, had one and dones here. A single attempt.
Speed was the difference.
And
speed was the real difference, though.
We're looking at the time bank here for IE. It wasn't a one and done. It was not a one attempt. It ended up being two attempts. They still got it across the line, so CC have the opportunity now if they can get it in one attempt and with a reasonable speed as well, like you mentioned. With a bit of extra time going to be, we'll see. Actually, I don't know that the time going to be really matters that much. It matters if they need a reset. What the time does is buy them a free reset. If they lose somebody to, say, a stray arrow from Shock, okay, chill. Wait for a respawn, go back in. 30 seconds though? No time for that. You have to play 5v6. So that's really what time will buy for them. We'll see if they can get something done. As you know, Caster's time will be on the Orisa. Note that last time he was actually on the Winston on his defense.
All questions about what they can do. 2 minutes though, super doable on the defense. And I mean, this would be IE winning. Let's be clear about this as well. If they hold this defense, they do just win. So it is actually pressure on for CC to bring this to a draw or even a win.
Very clutch. Immortality field coming through there. Shock nearly went down. Speaking of going down, someone on low HP.
Has to rotate out, but he will be just fine for now. It's not too big a slowdown. A Peach and Frog both in trouble. Someone's found the dive. That could just be it. The straw that breaks the camel's back.
Shock.
Good counter trade onto Aim Guard. Now the CC onto someone. Yuan is down. Easy Hard's on the day. He's got his off angle now. So Shock is having to compete with both that and Innovation. They've found someone. They're trying to get pressure on Aim. Shock! That was critical. Super critical. Aim God was about to come back into the fight. Now Wuyol's dead. This is an important reset for IE. Roxanne's D-Max, though. He does have to go for a dive.
Shock has really saved the day for IE here because he got both supports. He landed an initial arrow to Aim God quite early on. Finishes off Aiden with a beautiful
Shock's dead already?
Yeah, he'll be the first target now.
They're still waiting for Roxanne. That's the thing. Because of the late D-Max, CC already had a man advantage. They just leveraged that. They knew that there was no Roxanne to come to Easy Hard, to come to Shock's defense, rather. That's a big pulse bomb as well. The damage is serious. But they're hunkered down under the simultaneity field. Finally goes down, and look, they're all stuck, corralled in a corner, and I can see the draw on the cards now. Look at that. It's going to be enough time on the clock as well for CC to cap. So they have saved themselves from getting completely booted from the series. How could they even wangle it into a win?
Telescopes out. I can see the draw. There is one problem though, and that is that IE actually, well, I was going to say IE were lacking something, but I actually have a lot of ultimates coming online, so what they lacked is the fact that a Peach dropped his rally in the last fight. He's actually moved over towards the Ana now, which gives Innovation lots of play with it. If Innovation gets on the backline, it could be over. There's no defense at all. You lost a brick. Here comes a rally from Aiden.
Dragon Strike finds a Peach. You kidding me? Oh, and Roxanne's already dead. It's a disaster. Wuyol found Yuana's pulse bomb. Inokaz, they're trying to get something with the supercharger and window. Easy Hard, clean snapshot around the side on a Shock. And CC, they're going to completely reverse their fortunes to turn this into a win, to tie up our series entirely. I told you my favorite scoreline was 2-2, and funny enough, this is now the second time this season we've actually had a 2-2. The first one was last night.
I was going to say, when was the first one? That was, that's right, it was last night.
Yeah, that did happen.
That
did happen just 24 hours ago, yeah.
There's now, where were you 24 hours ago? There's now match point for both sides.
Wild.
Which is kind of wild. But here, one thing has actually happened quite important to speak about is that CC have saved their play-in / playoffs kind of conundrum. They will now secure their playoffs position 100%.
Even if they lose, they cannot finish worse than second.
Exactly. So, and that is because they would tie with GC Busan, but then win the head-to-head. Exactly. So that's an important scoreline to consider. Now, I don't even know that CC will win the game today, considering we have a map 5 on the cards, and Lee Jung-Tao was very favored for Incendia Evolution. And if we go back in that kind of play, I think Top Dragon probably comes back in, not because of any sort of like who's better. And clearly Shock has proven that it doesn't matter who's in. Shock and really, I mean, Shock had some crazy good arrows there. But depending on what the map, what is the map actually? Is it going to be Busan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would want Top Dragon probably, if nothing else, then just for the Tracer at minimum. You're probably not going to be playing as much Hanzo here. Anyway, the point is, Lee Jung being extremely good, I can see Busan going a similar way.
Yeah, I really could. I really could. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. And I still actually think the pressure is on CC here, really, because, like, at this point, you got to answer some questions, right? Like, sure, they've clinched their playoff spot. Yeah, we've already talked about it. Like, unequivocally, this makes them the weakest of the 4. There's no two ways about that. And if they're the weakest of the 4, if Incendia could beat them, having lost to other teams, now, yeah, sure, Incendia looking good tonight, but they've had moments of brilliance in previous matches. Like, we talked about that WGS match where they actually looked really solid. They just weren't able to pull it out. You also talk about how WGS are actually looking pretty decent these days, possibly even better than GC Busan, despite losing to them. So actually, you start looking at a couple of the other teams in the mix, some of those teams that are going to be brawling through play-ins, who are going to have extra matches under their belt by the time they come up against the rest of these top 4. And you start to look at what happened to CC tonight, and you go, are they even top 4? Do they get knocked straight out of the playoffs?
Beyond that as well, I'm just really, I'll be sad for Incendia Evolution exiting the season now, because the thing is, if there was another potential for them to make it through the play-ins, I think this is a team that could really have huge upset potential in the play-ins, and they could, win their play-ins game, go further, and really challenge some other teams. I'll be really looking out for where IE could go from there, but no, their fate has been sealed. A regular season of only 4 matches. It's a round robin in a group of 5. You really have to make each match count. You can't falter. I mean, we see similar things in AL when you only have the 4 matches per tournament cycle. There's no room for error. If you even lose 2 matches there, going 2-2 does not sound great. 2-2 here means you come 3rd place at least, so 1-3 is the minimum result. And now even getting a 1-3, yeah, just because of that WGS head-to-head, right? Ouch. And now you kind of look at IE, like if they had won 1 more maps elsewhere, I think IE could have, played GC Busan versus IE today. That probably is a 3-1. Even if GC Busan won, that's probably a 3-1. And then IE would make it into the play-ins, so it's that close. It's like it will come down to a 1 map difference here.
It's also worth noting, though, like, that is where consistency is key, and it's not enough to come alive this late in the tournament. Like, it needed to happen a match ago, realistically, for Incendia, and it didn't. And that's a tragedy. It's a shame. It's a shame when something like that happens, because you miss out on a potentially threatening team going into playoffs. But I expect we'll see a lot of these names again. So there's at least that to hold on to.
On this team or the next, we'll see. Next Trials is going to be spicy for sure for IE, but for now, the opportunity to beat Team CC is on the table. A late swap for Top Dragon. Over onto the Soldier coming in through. Double hit scan versus Soldier, plus the Hanzo for Easy Han as well. CC know what the game plan is. Whose comp do I like better here? Ever so slightly, I think it has to go to CC for this shield break.
I do like it that a little bit more, but in general, I just have high expectations of Top Dragon. I don't know. Maybe that's all it is.
What is that?
Peach is actually the first casualty.
Window timing.
Extra spam damage through. Top Dragon will be the light in the darkness, I suppose, for Incendia, being both the last man standing and also the only person to get a kill. But yeah, it is the better team, the better execution from CC. They get the opening point.
I mean, it wasn't just that. It's the... Well, I mean, okay, Yuan is going to swap over to Hanzo. He knows that the writing's on the wall very clearly, but the thing there is, Frong outpaced aimbot so heavily in getting that first ant matrix, but that wasn't enough apparently. IE couldn't get the damage on. Top Dragon got the only kill firing through the window, but it wasn't enough. CC now ahead. They have that rally going.
Nice damage coming out here. Already lost the immortality field, so CC just leading into
sick
deep
dragon.
pockets. Oh, that's gross, man. 3 out of the Dragon Strike just because everyone is caught in a really awkward tight angle thanks to the zoning that the TAC visor was creating.
You ever hear about the story of the dragon in the small alley on Busan?
Can't say I'm familiar with that one.
Wow, you just saw it now, actually, so you are very familiar with
gotcha.
it.
So now I'm
you
very
just
familiar,
witnessed it.
I thought it was like, I was like, is that like that Harry Potter spin-off book,
Korea?
Tales of Beetle the Bard?
Yeah, it's when they go to Korea for a summer trip. They have a
I'm gonna go tweet at J.K. Rowling after this, asking if there's wizards in Korea.
international exchange to Korea. Well, that was.
They got like an exchange student that comes into Hogwarts. Anyway, Frong's already lost the immortality field early, so again, just better mileage here for CC, who are looking pretty
Another
clean on this
dragon.
one. And oh, hey, look, the sequel.
That
It's not
was
as good
fast.
as the first one.
They must have shot back to back. That's the only way you can get the sequels out that quickly. As
I mean, that's how they do the Korean soaps. You know, you just shoot everything in like a week.
which actually for an actor I think is a good thing. You know, you get it all done in a week. You can move on to
There
the
was
next
an episode
project.
of Family Guy about that, where it turned out that Quagmire had been in like a Korean soap opera.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that was a good time.
The Top Dragon moving over towards the Genji, by the way. This is something we saw when the matchup versus WGS, especially on Blizzard Worlds. A lot of good Genji gameplay, but I don't know if it's going to be good in this matchup. Supercharger down now for Enacats. It's their time, IE. It's time to get the damage done. Nope, they lose the Supercharger instantly.
Okay, someone's in trouble though. They've lost the immortality field, and he is still under the line of fire a little bit. They've lost Frongs as well, so in equal measure. Both rallies running, so essentially net neutral. I rotated to the point though. That's the critical thing. That's what's kept them in it. Because someone was low, they had to back up a little bit. Really great CC layer landing onto Innovation to drop them down. And overall, this is looking like it's going to be IE finally getting back on the board, keeping their hopes alive here a little bit. Also, I appreciated the triple G you dropped earlier, the good Genji gameplay.
Nice. Now I'm just thinking, could there have been a fourth G in there?
Good Genji gameplay. God.
Getting good Genji gameplay.
Shouting out the
Boom,
lords
done.
at the end of it.
Just need a bit of patience there. You could have thought of it just like me. Going get no.
Good. Good God. Great Genji gameplay.
All right.
Gangster.
I'll take that answer. I'll accept
getting
that
the
one.
6Gs. It's the next step up from 5G, but I haven't had that vaccine yet. Top Dragon's getting it taken out early, though, so not quite the quadruple Gs that we were looking for. And now looking to get rid of Roxanne as well. The quick D-Mech there. Frog drops a Peach. Anti-heal running on him. He's going to be not long for this world. And 60%, yeah, all right, sure. I.e., they held on for a wee while, but it was really only holding on for the one chunk of time. CC are back in control. 99%. We'll be able to tick down that clock. Roxanne and a Hail Mary here, throwing out the self-destruct, partially to reset the mech, partially to see if they can get anything on the point. The answer is no, they cannot.
CC dominance coming through, 99% to start out with. I get their 64 to end the day. Losing both their supports, a Peach and Frong, right at the top of the final fight is never going to be a good sign. And CC with their superior ultimates, and you consider that Innovation was even nearing the EMP, end things quite well. But it starts with the snowball. It starts with the fact that CC had the ever so slightly better composition. It's not superior by much, but at the highest level, every small advantage you can get does help. And IE got to move back over towards Inocast on the Rhine. Does this mean we get Top Dragon on a Doom again? And now I don't know that Doom has a great matchup into what CC are running, especially if Easy Khan does come through on the McCree, but IE have made this work in Control Center. I don't know if they'll make it work again. Time will tell.
I want to see it work twice, though, partially because, as I have expressed in the past, I'm a Doomfist fanboy. I'm a Doomfist stan, in fact.
Gross.
Yeah, you know what?
G-word.
Fair enough. Hey, wait till you see who tweeted at me earlier today. It was really gross, but IE, though...
Turtles. That's not a G-word.
Sure. IE, look at that. It's working again. They just get the engage. They're able to keep the pressure on. That's going to be a really clean opening fight as well.
Greg tweeted at you.
It was actually an F word that tweeted at me, but I won't say it. I won't say it live on air. I'll
So
tell you
IE
after.
do get that first fight done again. You have to get Inocast into action. He certainly has been, 86% and counting. And CC, I'm matching. They're like, you know what? Maybe this is the play. Obviously, they're not going the Doomfist route. I don't know that's something that Innovation really plays. I don't think Easy Khan or Innovation played it at all. I also don't think they really need it. Sombra would be great here. I think if Innovation goes Sombra, they would be having a very good time. Aiden down.
This is an entertaining tank mirror, I gotta say.
It's an unexpected one. I mean,
Yeah.
who knew that this is what we're going to get today? No Lucios, both teams
I
go
did,
line.
because, again, I took the geriatric spice. I saw this. I just also
didn't
had a lot
announce
to
it.
drink, so I forgot about it until just now.
Oh, Top Dragon stunned up, in trouble,
It's
alive.
gonna be just fine. Take some nano boost, though.
Shadow's
Now
going to be
get back
available
in.
here.
Oh, no, second one, not so lucky. Gets stuck up against the wall, does not get back out. And I mean, it was really brave going in there anyway. It kind of felt like they just needed to get
What is
something out of the
going on?
nano boost, but the Shatter is enough to rescue it out of Enocast.
That was a little bit of Overwatch soup that happened. I
Shatter,
don't know what
actually.
that was. It was just everything at the same time. All at once. Roxanne dives in, Graviton Surge out, instantly goes down. I thought CC actually had that. As soon as they killed Roxanne, I was like, wow, this is not looking good. Enocasto stays alive, was swinging that entire time, and eventually ends with the Shadow, probably even unnecessary towards the end. Should be someone's turn now.
That was the Jacob Collier of fights. It was just everything all the time. Absolutely no sense of subtlety to it. Someone's taken a nap, though. He's had a lullaby. Incendia, though, a little bit on the back foot, but Enocast with the nano is doing decently. That Shatter from someone not all that hot. Now Easy Hard under the line of fire. Top Dragon's about to be back in as well, by the way.
Oh.
Shatter from Enocast. Super quick charge on that one. And speaking of charge, doesn't quite collect the kill from that, but hey, he's got time to emote. Nobody's touched the point from CC since, I think, 94%.
I'll
so
emote twice, why
Easy
not?
does it.
They have the original straight into the sequel. I enjoyed both the emotes, and usually they say the sequel might not live up to the original. That one did.
That really did.
Going to sub-map number 3 now, round 3.
I love it. All the way
Here,
deep.
you're not going to play Ryan. I think if you play Ryan here, that's just an auto throw, so you know that, and they're not going to be going towards it. I found it strange that CC chose to play into the Ryan mirror. Being that, I don't think, I've never really seen this team be a Ryan-based team on any version of CC. I remember even casting them in Gauntlet, and that, I mean, sure, that was a full dive meta. They had Gaga on the ball, you know, someone that's gone on to great success on Chengdu Hunters, and CC now, in any iteration of the team, I've never known them to be a Ryan-based team, so it's kind of weird that they decided that was going to be the mirror they wanted to play into, but full-based gameplay now on both sides. It's going to be a complete mirror. No, it's not. Wukiao and Roxanne on different heroes.
CC did get the health pack control there. Izuhan was able to get the hack in. So you were able to take the opposing side health pack. As both teams now looking to rotate in towards the point.
Our team really has major advantages here. Will be eyeing it in the first touch, but I don't know if they can secure it. Surely CC will prevent this from coming on. And there's the dive.
Oh,
my
that's huge.
goodness.
Yeah, huge damage coming out there, nice and quick, and Enocast rolling away to safety. Top Dragon manually hacked, so he's down and out for the count. So Incendia did get the first rotation to the void, but yeah, it did not really work out for them. And I was going to say, I kind of like having the Diva for the extra spy checking, but overall, I prefer the Zarya on this particular map just because you got the extra kind of ace up the sleeve that the grab can bring, as well as the tertiary damage of a well-charged Zarya.
Yeah, but you really do suffer in the Sombra matchup, though, without the spy checking. Also, Zarya gets shield stripped away by EMP. It's not good in that regard. I mean, yeah, Grav is an okay ultimate, can still be eaten by a Diva. Typically speaking, the Diva is a safer pick here, but Wugal choosing the Zarya, opting for it. Someone hacked out, but okay for now. It's 30% encounter for Team CC with plenty ultimates to boot.
It's up to IE to get something done. Frong really feeling the heat, but someone at least dies early. Good counter trade. It's actually AIM God who gets the kill credit. Innovation. Sniffing around, waiting for something as they just kind of riding out the Transcendence. Incendia just going to wait that one out, though. Pulse Bomb in drops a peach, so no supports from Incendia. They're still waiting for Frong to come back into this, so nice trade back onto Aiden, but they need to get a lot more done with Roxanne D-Max. Wu Yao, on the other hand, living. Top Dragon not quite getting these finish offs. Izuhan constantly beating him to the punch to actually finish off kills, then slipping away, and CC staying in control.
And IE, they're running out of time, they're running out of space, they need a lot more going their way. It's 3 ultimates on the back end coming in line between Roxanne and Peach and Frong. EMP is going to be important, especially when AIM God has no Transcendence that was used in a previous fight. And here it goes, that's easy
that's
first.
rough. Yep, super clean EMP. I think that's what, 3 members, Yuena's own EMP, a complete disaster. I mean, there wasn't even a Transcendence that could have countered it. Maybe if Frong hadn't got EMP'd, he could have had it up in time to save some people, but 90% now. Top Dragon at least gets a late kill on someone. That opens the door for Incendia.
Yeah, 6v5 now. Top Dragon with a pulse bomb on the way as well. Will be dangerous for a player like Vulcan, who's instantly half HP. Look at the damage.
He's in trouble.
Ooh, that's
They're
a
just
kill.
going to finish him up. He's completely in no man's land. No supports with line of sight for him. Pulse bomb stuck beautifully onto Aim God on the drive-by. And Incendia suddenly just awakened.
Damn, dude. Top Dragon's feeling with that kind of play. Just solo kills. Wu Kiao landing all those shots. 400 HP down to 0 instantly with the help of Discord Orb. Pulse bomb stick onto Aim God. Chef's kiss on that play as IE have saved their bacon, at least for now. But we've seen them here on City Center. Or downtown, rather. City Center's a waste. Just here on Busan, it's downtown. So not quite in the center of the city, as we have 3 more ultimates into play. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if IE would have survived.
CC now. They do have a lot of ultimates coming into this one. First of all, double rallies. Eyes on Wu Yao with the grab. Minefield that good manual hack onto Roxanne, so the grab is a free one. They're able to drop that one in, but the nice healing from Frog. Aim God's down, so no trans on the other side of things. Wu Yao dead as well. Important one for IE, and a very efficient fight. It is both support ultimates committed, but in all fairness, Aiden did use his own. The rest of IE hold on to everything.
I mean, the difference there was Aim God going down, right? Because they didn't have the Transcendence. IE used double support ultimates, but CC cannot respond. They just have the rally. The grab is good. Don't get me wrong, the grab is great even, but they couldn't output the damage. I think Innovation's pulse just, I don't know where it went. It wasn't in the grab. Easy Hunt obviously doesn't have an EMP available. Aim God would have made the difference there. If they could have tranced as well, that could have been huge. Big hack on the Inocast.
Hack on Aim God. He's down. No Transcendence again. At least this time it's traded with Frog. But IE's got more ultimates. And they've got more members. Okay, no supports. This is like fully down to the wire. It's got to be EMP plays. Uranus to it first. Easy Hunt. Where did they go? They've got no one. Roxanne gets 2 with the self-destruct. Is that going to do it? Is that going to close it out?
It might be. It might be.
The Transcendence, they're booking it. Doesn't touch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Speechless.
What a finish.
Speechless. What an end. What an end. It's Aim God going down twice in a row. I believe Easy Hunt had his EMP cancelled by Uena's EMP. Uena's EMP came in a split second earlier, and because of that, Easy Hunt was in the middle of the animation for his own EMP, and it got cancelled.
It's technically a channel time. It's huge.
Wow.
That is absolutely huge. And what a way for it to end. Genuinely down to the wire. 99% there for CC. And I mean, it's so many little things. It's the opening kill on Frong, taking the Transcendence off the table again. Yeah, it gets, onto Aim God, rather. Takes the Transcendence off the table. Yes, it got traded with Frong. They're both Brigaders get traded. And you're looking across the board, it is as dead even as it could be. EMPs either side, pretty much nothing else. There was a self-destruct, and don't get me wrong, the self-destruct came in big, but it came in big because of how the EMP timings worked out. That could not have possibly been more slick from Uena.
I gotta say as well, what a weird way to end as well, with double supports down on both sides. I mean, that's about the most honest game of Overwatch I've ever seen, because there's no healing at all. It's literally a 4v4, 0 healing, all damage counts. Any shot you land on the other team is going to be sticking and is going to be permanent outside of, obviously, recalls and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you're playing a different game. I mean, it's not even Overwatch at that stage. It's all permanent damage. And you just have to frag out who's got the better mechanics, who's got the better timings on the last ultimates available, which then obviously were going to be the EMPs. They were going to take it, and IE with the slimmest of margins, they get it. That was really tight. And play of the game now. And this is, I didn't know who was even going to win. So I had to think about both teams in terms of, what could have happened. Innovation honestly had a pretty decent series at the top of my mind looking at CC. But I think IE, despite not being in the entire time, when Top Dragon was in, he was absolutely dominant. 100%. Like, Top Dragon saving the day for IE. Let's even rewind the clock. CC were on, 99%? IE were coming into a fight where they can't lose any fights. Top Dragon solo kills Wu Kiao, then gets a stick onto Aim God, and by himself, by the sheer will of his own mechanical prowess, saves a fight for IE. I don't know about saving, but let's just say wins a fight for IE out of nowhere. Players like this that can impose their will upon the game and say, I'm going to win now. That's what I'm looking for. That is what I think makes a great player.
Yeah, it's almost like what we were talking about yesterday with Taka, where it's like, it's an individual that just skews things so hard. It's, you know, it can come down to the wire, it can come down fairly even. You can trade evenly to an extent, and then Top Dragon just goes on an absolute tear. We saw that time and time again. And I have to say, I want to give a specific shout out actually to Roxanne. Roxanne obviously was in the whole time, and I did mention it at one point as well. Like, the diva play was exceptional out of Roxanne. Obviously, you have when you had the ball, you're not gonna give the nano boost the ball a whole lot, but there were many situations where like best nano target was Roxanne, and every time it happened, Roxanne was picking up kills with it. Really great use of defense matrix. Really great positioning overall. Just like one of the strongest diva performances we've seen across this tournament, in all honesty, for its sheer consistency. But I do agree, Top Dragon has to take it purely because of how heavily he inherently skews a game. I am curious, though, just because I want to hear this, given that we really had no clue who this was going to be right up to the last minute, who would it have been if it was a CC win? I'm very curious to know.
I like I said, I had Innovation at the top of the list for a couple of reasons, also imposing his wall upon the game on the Tracer for the most part. Had the big advantage in the fire duel for the most part until obviously we swapped sides. But even when we swapped sides, like, he wasn't getting dominated on the attacking side. He dominated on the defensive side, but, you know, kept his wits alive on the attacking side. Yeah, generally pretty solid. I mean, it's hard because there were some good moments and some poor moments across the board for a lot of different areas. Easy Han had some good gameplay, but I think Innovation had a bit more going for him. It probably would have been harder to decide for the CC side of things.
Fair enough. For what it's worth as well, the sample size was ever so slightly increased across the last two there, by the way. It is official. Every time Incendia had Shock in, they lost. Every time they had Top Dragon in, they won. Obviously, that is not the sole reason why. Let's make no mistake there. But look, overall, impressive stuff. Incendia, you've really got to hand it to them. It's just a shame it couldn't come in any quicker. But the CC, goodness gracious, the alarm bells are ringing about now. But let's go ahead and step away from the fire. We will take a little bit of a breather. We're going to come back with what we expected to be the absolute title bout of the night, and hopefully will still be the case with O2 Blast versus T1 coming up right after this break. Good evening, welcome back, and are you ready for the wackiest possible result? The wackiest possible result would
Map
be
7.
watching the biggest upset of the season so far that has zero consequence on the net result of the season, and then have it be followed immediately by a 3-0 that we've actually been hyping up all season long. That would be the wackiest result. I would love
But
if
also,
that is the
wouldn't
case,
surprise me.
because we completely, not that we totally overlooked the first matchup, but it's sort of like, in all fairness, we've had such a season that's gone exactly to expectation that it was completely correct to go into this going CC the favorite, that's looking good, yada, yada, yada. And we've been talking about the last one, saving the best to last, the absolute hyping up. I'm ready for this, man.
What
I'm
it would be is it would be like in boxing where like the undercard is like a close, you go to all 12 rounds or 10 rounds, whatever it is. And then your title card match is just a first round knockout. Like Mike Tyson just slams a left hook and that's it. It's done. It's over. And sometimes that is exactly how it goes. That do be how it is sometimes. But I would like to see fireworks here. I would like to see two teams go the full distance, be competitive. I don't want to see anything less than 4 maps. Let's put it that way. I think both teams have the capability to go very far. I think both teams have a lot to show, a lot to play for. Literally first seed on the line here. I mean, winner takes first seed. Second place team takes second seed, and the difference between those two is whether you get a bye or not. So if you get first seed here, both teams got a playoffs. Let's just be clear about that to start things out with. That if you win, first of all, you get to go on the same side of the bracket as CC, who have looked like the weaker team of the top 4 teams. And you get a bye as well, which is great.
Well, let's talk about another thing as well. We talk about the top 4. The top 4 teams at present are O2 Blast, T1, Talon, and CC. However, the first place seed is guaranteed a top 4 finish because of that bye. They are immediately into the semifinals. The second place seed could get knocked out before they make it into the top 4. So despite being a quote-unquote top 4 team, you could absolutely get knocked out from a strong contender that comes up through the play-ins.
Yeah, I mean, we could see a team as well where, let's say you go to playoffs, you could technically speed run it through in 3 matches. You're in round 2 because you skip round 1, you go to winners finals, you win that, you go to grand finals, you win, and you're done. Let's go ahead and take a look at T1. T1 and done, as I like to call them. And
whereas I think there's just a numerical sequence at play here. T1 versus O2 with a 3-0 result.
I thought you were going to say MN3. I was like, well, that's a good way. That's a good call.
Actually, that would have been a really good numerical sequence in all fairness. Yeah. But then I don't know where I would have got a 4 from.
Forfeit, as we're not actually going to get again. That's the real wacky result, right? You're talking about what could be a wacky result.
That would actually, you're right, that would be wackier than all of the other things I said.
Yeah, because this would be the one game you're like, you're the most important game to win, really, to assert dominance. T1 so far have been a team that have mostly played, I think, Dive this season. They've shown a little bit of Balasria on the Orisa. It's been mostly a Balasria ball kind of team. I still hold out that I believe, personally, for me, that Cleston has been the highest performing diva of not just the season, but 2 seasons running, the previous one as well. We're obviously looking at a lot of ex-London members on here. MN3, who is kind of ex-Element Mystic, I believe, alumni, as Element Mystic kind of spread themselves off across all the various teams when they broke up as a unit, has probably been the main talking point here. Mainly was a Tracer / wasn't even a Tracer actually, because Heesang played Tracer back when M3 and Heesang were a duo, and Heesang M3 was mainly known as a hit scan specialist back then. He's now moving to various roles, including Hanzo Projectile. He's changed up things quite a decent amount. Zest has been powerful in this team. This has been a reasonably good team. I felt like in the preseason before we got into this that maybe Balasria would be a weak point, and even that just hasn't been the case. Balasria has been strong on the ball, so a team that's just been good across the board.
Yeah. I also do like that Cleston they list off tank then main tank, or flex tank then main tank, and literally every other team lists it as main tank then flex tank.
No, that's just our production. That's all right. That's fine. We can do it differently.
No, they do it in game. They do it in game too, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we forced them to. I asked T1 to do that. I talked to Joe.
We're like, hey, I want you to know our production
Cleston
has put you left of Belosria. Therefore, you need to change how you sat in game.
Well, I dictate the
listened.
seating order. I've messaged the president of T1.
The president of T1.
What? That's a real person. Why is
I
that
know.
funny?
I know. It's just like. It's like when you say like I'm gonna tell the president. I don't know. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a criticism.
I also enjoy O2 Blast lineup here. Obviously, quite a few members still on the bench there. They have one of the biggest benches.
Jerseys, actually.
They've also had one of the biggest benches, I think, historically over most of the contender seasons. Even last year, even looking into past O2 Blast Ross. I should said O2-1, which is I'm counting down. Except I put the O before the 2, which is where it should be 2-1-0, shouldn't it? As O2 Blast, they have all the runaway members on the team, or most of the ex-runaway members. Obviously, Wuhiao's gone over towards CC phases here. They're actually going to start out with all 3 of their runaway players. Big upgrade here. Everything is as it seems. Still got Kilo on the bench as well for when they want to pull out some sniping. Not really Kilo's meta. We'll see more of Kilo, I think, at the playoffs when, it's going to be open meta. Ash is back into action. That's been his main hero. Proper versus M3 is going to be a fun matchup. That's for sure.
It'll be an interesting talking point, by the way, just because it's put it on my mind. Not necessarily right now, but I mean, it is becoming imminently close, and it's also very clear who is going to be going into these playoffs. So once the dust has settled from this match, depending on who wins and loses, it'll be interesting to start then discussing what things look like in playoffs when the hero pool is shifted. Indeed, I believe it's just removed outright for the playoffs, play-ins and playoffs, for what it's worth. So you talk about solid Ashe play. Obviously, Ashe becomes a possibility again. And I wonder if that's going to, power up certain teams relative to other teams, especially across this top 4. It'll be interesting to discuss and eventually see that when that time comes. But obviously, in the short term, this is still O2 Blast looking extremely solid. T1 looking to be the first team to seriously threaten them.
It makes good teams even better. Like I said, I mean, Kilo's best hero is currently banned, so you literally make maybe the best team in the season so far that much better because Kilo becomes unlocked. Not that he's too locked away now, as he can still come through. Solid McCree, good Hanzo. But we'll see if T1 can come up against the full brunt of the Propers carry potential here. What we haven't seen is O2 Blast versus a comparable team. 3-0 cleanly versus BM Hawk. In fact, that was a 0-point lockout. They didn't drop a single point. Brutal game. JNGK, 1 point dropped on Rialto. That was it. 0 on the other 2 maps, including full hold on Kings Row. What else we got here? Starlight, 1 point dropped on Blizzard World. That was it. Full hold Route 66. It's not even been close. Nothing. This has been like
totally unchallenged.
You've got like adults playing against children in this kind of analogy I'm using here. It's like an adult league versus a kids league, and O2 Blast is just way better than everybody else to the point where like you can't even get a team that can get 2 points on O2 Blast. It's just 1 point set, and you barely get a team that can not get full held. They've had a full hold like all 3 matches, right? This is the first game for O2 Blast where they're actually going up against tight competition against a team that could push them. Because looking back on T1's games now, and unfortunately this gets brought up every single time, and it's going to get brought up one more time now. I'm sorry, but there was that one map they lost to Starlight, and that's always going to be that one map that always gets brought up, even if it's always somewhat relevant, but it's also irrelevant, if that makes sense. It's kind of irrelevant as well because it's so long ago, but it's always because it's like that blemish on the rap sheet, right? It's like, wow, that did happen.
Yeah. This is where I actually think the single most relevant, like not even from a gameplay perspective, but purely because it means that this is now a perfectly undefeated team. In fact, a team that's not only undefeated, but has like barely even dropped points within the maps they've won, versus a team that technically lost 1 map. That's it. Like that's the only initial mark of difference. And when you come into this, probably tipping O2 as the favorite, like whether you reckon it's by a lot or by a little, you're probably tipping O2 as the favorite. That one little blemish is just enough to tip the scales of, I think, anyone who is genuinely on the fence about who comes into this with the higher chance to win.
It's not even like you're guessing here either, because both teams have played against the exact same teams in their group.
Very straightforward.
O2 Blast have, in total, across 3 matches, in total, this is very important, dropped 2 points over 3 series. over 9 maps, they've dropped 2 points. Just 2. Not 2 maps, 2 points. So, and on obviously not on the controls. They've been flawless 2-0 every single control. Untouched. It's been Blizzard World, and what's the other one? Rialto. So we had a hybrid, we have an escort. Those are probably a little bit, I mean, the control maps are way harder to drop points if you're dominating. The point is, let's see if that record gets broken. T1, I'm sure, will take way more than 2 points. That should not stand after this. Right at the gate now, title card match of the regular season, the final one here. Battlesria on towards the Orisa. Jimbin Nash on the other side. It will be a mirror outside the fact that proper is starting out in May.
Yeah, that is the main point of difference, and needs to be a crucial one as well. You're already seeing actually the rotations kind of forced by the Ice Wall, but Zest on an excellent off angle here. So that will need to be answered as Merit and MN3 looking to set up a gunfight duel as O2 Blast. Big rotation. They're trying to push in, split T1 down the middle, the flank around the side with both Merit and Proper. Very brazen, nearly working out there. They've isolated Krillin from the rest of the team. They just end up having to rotate back through to rejoin everyone else. They finally drop Unique now, looking to separate off Zest. He is booking it out of there, getting covered by Kleston, but only barely. Instead, it's Belostria that kind of falls on the sword for that one, and then, well, unfortunately, Zest is still going to fall on it thereafter. Turns out there's room for 2 on that particular blade. O2 Blast, successful first fight.
Well, there's not room to 2, or is that the point itself? Only team surviving here is going to be O2 Blast coming out from that initial cap through. Okay, T1 does have the 13% of O2. Eventually will flip it back over, and that 13 is instantly capitalized on as O2. They need to be quicker in this matchup. They will lose in the straight-up mirror if they dilly-dally around. They cannot afford to trade too much damage. Double windows now. Mortality fields traded.
Okay, that's a really important find, finding Chio there. That rally could have been quite big otherwise. FaZe as well, looking to get D-Mex dropped down. Big pressure onto Junbin. This is T1 actually really quite clean on the repush. Both teams sort of went for a bit of a pitched battle through the amplification matrices, and T1 get the better end of the gunfighter duel.
Yeah, Chio FaZe going down there, proper no opportunity to use the Blizzard. The Blizzard would have been the turning point there for O2 Blast. They need to make this May pick work. They have to justify the May pick. That will be the narrative thread for this entire control center. And you're not going to see proper swap off until this Blizzard comes on through as well. So big job now for Kleston, who has been the diva that most consistently eats ultimates. That was true last season, is true this season as well. Lots of ultimates online for T1. Supercharger has been deployed.
So T1 now in control. Both Superchargers dealt with. Waiting for something with the Deadeye. Not quite going to find it. But that's a... Still got the Blizzard off. That's important. Nearly suffered for it. They've taken out the Immortality Field. Quick dunk on Belostria. Self-destruct. Laid out beautifully. They actually bumped Chio into the line of it, but the question will not get back in the mech. The damage long since been done to O2. Straight back on it. Really back and forth so far.
Finn had to use an extra window there as well, so Krillin will have the Ant Matrix advantage now, but can they get into a position to use it? What O2 Blast need to do right now is put proper over towards the spawn camp side of the map, play for walls. It's just like in the old Rhine mid is right here. He is on the side. Looking for potential wall opportunities that could split off the team with T1. No, he's back down. He's taking too much damage.
Whew, okay. It's an important breathing room there for O2 Blast. Supercharger down. It's going to be Deadeye from MN3. Oh,
look at that.
What a brutal ice wall there. That's the Amp Matrix and the Deadeye completely neutered. Now self-destruct forward. They get no value out of that window. That is huge value from the single ice wall there from O2 Blast. And now, entrenched as they are, it's up to T1 to try and find some other play.
Watch the Blizzard coming on through from O2 Blast as well. Once more, it comes down to Kleston to stop. That's been going down. 5 versus 6 now. If O2 Blast going to go for anything, they have to do it now. Here's that Blizzard.
Yeah, Zest has got such a sick off angle, but honestly, the Blizzard is too little too late. The damage was being pounded out by Zest and MN3. By the time the Blizzard comes down, there were already too many members on the ropes because they were waiting for T1 to go for this great big push in. Instead, T1 a lot more patient on that move on the point, and it pays off.
Now we have the opportunity for O2 to change comps ever so slightly. Proper says no, has to go over towards the May. That means pacing of this game has to be very quick. They have to find engage versus these ice walls, or with the ice walls rather. The Blizzard came through late, wasn't effective enough. T1 have ultimates coming online. It's 95% for O2, but 75 and counting for T1. Here's that window.
Just looking to create a bit of space, if nothing else. They haven't found kills. That would have been their ideal. Some low members, though. Here we go. Belostria in trouble, but they are rallying around him in the literal and figurative sense. The Immortality Field as well running. With this Amp Matrix plus attack visor. MN3 is actually the first casualty. Trade for Chio. Bit of a lopsided trade, but with FaZe down, not quite getting
Should be T1's
the
game.
value he was after there. This is looking pretty solid for T1, even with the kill on Zest, now round to the bend of 98%. It's going to be down to the last. Eyes on Merit. He's got to really explode here. Otherwise, this one goes the way of T1, and look at that.
Boom. Wouldn't coming through from Krillin. Tac Visor going through it with Zest, like you said, then Balashria. Cherry on top of that. Kank is going to be the supercharger to give T1 the opening round win here on Lijiang Tower, and that will break one of the unbroken parts of O2 Blast's record so far this season, in that they have not ever dropped a control round. Now they finally do. And O2 Blast, I'm going to be real with you, this main pick, it's difficult to execute on. You have to be fast in your pacing, your walls have to be immaculate, your right clicks have to be landing on targets. Proper has some good walls in there, Proper has some good shots in there, but unfortunately the Blizzards did not end up helping their team as much as possible. That's not because he didn't get them out. They were there, but O2 Blast were down members. Finn died on one of the last fights as well. Proper on towards Tracer. Zest on Tracer as well. This is the duel now because Proper is on possibly his best hero.
I'm excited, seriously excited to see how this actually shakes out. Nice nip on phase early, actually. Just to drop him out a little bit. MN3 as well on the Sombra. Makes it ever so slightly more lopsided. It's a decent hack on a Junbin, but like you mentioned, Belisria dead means this is a potentially rescue frag if they kill Junbin, which they don't even manage to do. So O2 Blast, straight man advantage. Light pressure on the Fed does not work out. Now Proper is on top of Zest. Actually, it's FaZe who gets the last shot on that. Excuse me. It's the cap to O2 Blast.
FaZe also 80 energy. I was going to say 80%. No, he's 60% towards the Graviton Surge, but was on the 80 energy there for O2 Blast, and that means maybe a quick grab a little bit later on. We'll need an extra fight for that. Proper does a smidgen of damage. It's really Finn, Merit, and the rest who get the opening pick onto Belisria. Discord at half HP. Krillin is not going to be able to save Zest or Belisria.
So huge. Nano boost onto Belisria, partially because he was getting a little bit threatened, but secondarily so they could just take a fight here, having lost Zest. Looking to turn it around here. They find another one. Belisria really making money with that, but it's actually solo grab right now onto Unique. They'll find him with that. Looking to get Cleston as well, who tried to come into the defense. They get the D-Mech, but that's a really great sleep and kill. So even with the D-Mech on Cleston, T1 absolutely rescued that fight with the nano boost into Belisria.
I spoke too soon there. I mean, Krillin absolutely did save Belisria's bacon as well as the rest of his teams. The nano boost coming through. Belisria instantly capitalizing in so many frags with his Winston. I mean, Belisria really went up in terms of the ult charge, nearly on the Primal Rage. Now EMP ready to go for MN3, and Finn is not quite on that transcendence. The end of that play came through from a sleep dart as well to Proper, who pulse bombs does go wide.
Now T1 really starting to rotate into some serious ultimates here. The only thing they'll be lacking is the nano boost, and even then, that's a fairly quick charge. EMP from MN3 backfires. That's enormous. Great pulse bomb from Zest. The rescue is kind of there from Finn, partially Zest to recall out to stay alive. This is where T1 have deep pockets. Can they finish off Belisria here, though, O2 Blast? That would be huge. No, he's alive. He's jumped away. Unique, not so lucky. Not getting, I mean, he got the fullness of the rally, but not getting the fullness of the fight. There is now O2 Blast. They just kind of pop off despite the massively deeper pockets from T1. O2 Blast have a far more successful fight.
Finn he heard people talking smack about people saying that Vigilante was better. He's like, not today, buddy. I'm going to be the fragger. I'm the third DPS on this team. We got Proper, we got Merit, and you got Finn as well, baby. That is going to be a really nice ice-cold picks from the Singata. And O2 Blast now ready to go in terms of the rest of Ultimate. Is double DPS. Grav coming soon as well. Proper might want to save this pulse, but we'll see if he does. It would just be a pick early out. 65 and counting. It's a 20% lead over what T1 have.
Now, O2 leaning into this. Deadeye first. Happy to have that one. It's just a bit of zoning. It makes it a little bit awkward to maneuver. They're going to be just fine. It's time more than anything else. Proper, a little bit threatened to get topped off. Wants to preserve the recall. Grabbing a confined space. Pulse bomb to layer up. They're able to rescue it. Cleston's not getting back in the mech. That is the rare flashback kill feed. Nobody even dying. And yeah, the Nano wants Unique. Not your ideal target, but not exactly a wealth of targets. He's at least got two before he himself goes down. But with that, he is indeed down. O2 Blast still relatively healthy. 95% as well.
Yeah, and Zest is probably going to go for the touch here. MN3 is around. Somebody has to do it. 99%, and it will be confirmed. Not too sure from whom, but T1 will now be in position to at least play a little bit longer. MN3 low HP is not ideal. He needs to find this EMP. EMP is the only way T1 can turn it. No!
Zest hung back because Cleston was inbound. The timing just wasn't quite there.
What a way to end.
Intense. It's tied up.
I gotta say though, T1 really, to me, kind of lost this sub-map rather, from when Krillin ends up putting in a late nano in for Unique, and like I said, there's just no one left to go through. It was a desperate maneuver. Had they had kept the nano boost, we would have done two things. One, obviously they saved the nano for the next fight, and you want to put that to Balestria, who uses nano quite effectively. And secondly, Unique would have died early, which means you reset fast. The fact that Unique dies late is going to be staggering their own respawns. So T1 now, and one control center. Who's Night Market? Gardens will be where we end things. Look at this. Both teams are going to the Rhine. There's even a Torb for Proper. Proper is, by the way, one of the only other players next to Lee from Chengdu Hunters. I said Lee's name. I invoked it. That has this width of a hero pool. And let's see now what Proper can do on a Torb.
I dig it. This is, I mean, this is how they're going to make the stand, right? Let's see what they can actually accomplish here. Merit's taking some chunks. He should be just fine, but it gives T1 a little bit of free firing space. Aim in 3 specifically, and he makes hay with that. Look at that. Gets 2 for his money. O2 Blast now, 3 down. No counter trades. T1 on an absolute tear on that opening fight. Should be able to tidy this one up pretty handily as they get the point.
M3 been looking at some Taka VODs recently. He's got that POV going as well. Beautiful headshots to end things up. Will eventually go down, but an M3 3 pieces. Pretty good for T1 to at least get this cap underway proper. In the meanwhile, has been slowly getting these damage up. Nearly has a Molten Core. This is one of the first ultimates of the game.
Okay, this Ant Matrix is really bizarre because they can just kind of play Ring Around the Rosie here with that Molten Core, lay it down right across the point. I don't know, the lime syrup, I suppose. And that was a really slick shot from Finn there, but I mean, O2 Blast, that was like a lot of that just being on the back of Proper. I don't know that the Ant Matrix was really the sensible call for T1 there.
I mean, we weren't even really looking at Proper's POV until he had the Molten Core, but just slowly getting ult charge from somewhere. I don't even know how. Torb is not meant to be your main damage dealer here. You normally never carry on a Torb, and we'll have to see if Proper can change my mind on that. It's a very fast Molten Core indeed. Stops Krillin from getting any value on that Ant Matrix. You want to try and window this? Well, bam. Here's that Molten Core. Green Jello onto the ground. As M3 has that Deadeye and the EMPs coming from Zest as well.
I mean, tell you what, I'll tell you where he got the ult charge from. He made a pact with the devil. Double Deadeye. Speaking of pact with the devil, that's a disaster for Merit. Junman's going to try and rescue him with a shatter that goes straight into Belistria's shield. I think technically got caught Cleston by it, but speaking of catch, 4 in the EMP. All very high priority targets. The kill coming over onto Junman as well. Going to try and actually rescue it. They've been able to heal up a bit, but Proper's dispatched off pretty handily. They would have otherwise liked to pivot back forward with another Molten Core and a Grav, but they'll have that for the next fight.
So M3 here is really just putting on a show. This McCree gameplay has been solid. Left clicks over on towards their head. A lot of headshots. EMP raking across on 4 members. FaZe had the shield stripped, and this is the weakness of playing the Zarya as well, as things have slowed down. I'm sure the energy charge for FaZe on the Zarya has also slowed down quite significantly, and you are just going to be prone to getting deleted by Sombra and EMP. You need to see O2 Blast open up this fight somehow versus the window.
Oh man, here we go, FaZe now. It's got to be the Grav, surely. Same kind of play again. Double window, in fact. They just kind of play Ring Around the Rosie. Self-destructs. Actually finds Proper. Couldn't quite duck into cover from that one, but still a 2 for 1. Big favoring O2 Blast. Oh, they lose Merit. 2 for 2 now. As we start to come into the later stretches of it, Zest is still in the mix. Merit and Proper are not. As soon as I said it, he died. Classic Caster's Curse. It's really FaZe acting as the tertiary DPS that has kept T1 at bay.
Which is what you need to see out of your Zarya. I was just saying before earlier that FaZe was going to have a rough time, but makes it work. It's a big ultimate expenditure. What is that, 4 ultimates minimum from O2 Blast? Not too sure if they ended up with a Deadeye there. Could have possibly. I kind of missed that, but everything else was played in. Obviously, Jumpman doesn't have a shatter. We'll be looking for it now and did block out Belistria's shatter. T1 waiting for Krillin to get this Ant Matrix before they can actually make a play happen. Zest is ever so slightly too far away from this EMP to wait for it either.
It's just going to be first the zoning Deadeye as T1 muscle their way onto the point. O2 Blast duck and hide behind the pillar. Same thing, and Matrix out, looking to rotate around. Merit dies in the rotation. That's huge. There's no counter trade just yet. Junman is trying to make it happen. Shatter is tasty, but there's an immortality field quickly to the rescue, and Junman is left out to dry. Belostria scoops up another. The cap coming over the way of T1. Important that O2 Blast were holding on to it while T1 were going for that play, because it means the cap's only just come through now.
Massive that Merit gets taken down there from T1's POV as well. 6v5, and just have to survive against Junman. Shattered there. Cleston walks forward, eats the shatter. Belastria protects the rest of the team, and then they still keep Cleston's mecha because they have that immortality field, and M3 is doing plenty of damage to push back the tide of O2 Blast, who have a grab again, but Zest on the flank. They need to delete this window. Here it comes. EMP
Oh, they eat the
Clifton as well.
grab. It's a disaster. The EMP across the immortality field is already dealt with. Members dying on the T1 side, though. O2 Blast have somehow managed to absorb the pressure. Self-destruct from Cleston. Barely necking there. Good kill onto Proper, but it's a huge man advantage for O2 Blast and huge charge on FaZe now as the Matrix comes out. The regrabs come in. MN3's dropped. Again, it's the damage on FaZe. Finds Unique as well. Look at them go. T1 getting routed off this point. Properly down to the last 99 to 99. A shatter out from Belostria. It drops Finn on his back and he gets collected by the Fire Strike, but that is the last thing Belostria will do in the fight.
Oh my god, O2 Blast coming through in the final second there. What a brilliant map. My favorite map of the entire season. Bar none. I gotta say, that's been the highest level gameplay. I can't wait. No, map 2 is gonna be a full hold, mark my words. But map 1 so far has been beautiful from both ends. Brilliant gameplay. T1 have absolutely shown up to challenge O2 Blast. It still ends up being O2 Blast finishing in. Even in the second to last fight there, when you thought it was maybe over, T1 had the advantage again. They look like they have the superior positioning, and Ultimates Proper somehow gets 2 frags, and guess what? His turret kills Balestria. So that's a main tank of T1 down to their turret of all things. Molten Core back in towards play. EMP looked like it was going to be crispy from Zest. I think it does actually cancel the Ant Matrix, but it's not enough. Molten Core is out. The turret damage was there. Proper was fragged on the top. Comes back on a Doomfist. Ends all of T1. But let's talk about what I think ended up being the real carry towards in there towards damage-wise. FaZe with 100 energy.
Oh, yeah.
That was what did it. That was what really pushed O2 Blast across the line.
Living the Zarya dream. Like, every time you see a team pick a Zarya, that's what you're hoping for. Like, that's what you're wanting to see, right? Like, you know, every time we see a Zarya, you know, build up and do well and they get reset hard and maybe even just never quite get the charge up, struggle to get grabs available. Like, and this is, by the way, with FaZe getting his grab eaten not long before that. So, like I said, that's exactly what you want to see. That is what you're hoping for when you pick the Zarya, and it speaks to FaZe's prowess on that pick. The fact that he was in those fights so late so many times, especially as DPSs were brawling out, getting picked off at times. Like I said, FaZe was acting as almost like a tertiary DPS in many a situation, and it was a huge difference maker. And you had that tertiary DPS on Finn on not Garden Zone, Night Market as well, and the Zenyatta, which is what you needed. It ends up being that, I think, Control Center was the outlier. I'm still not really pleased with what May brought to the table. I don't think Proper played a poor May. I just think May's matchup in that particular map wasn't great. It's so much more difficult to execute with the May than it is just to play a double hit scan from T1's POV, which is again why then you look at Night Market in a similar vein. I think it's potentially just that much harder to execute on the Zarya than it is the D.Va in terms of what Zarya needs to get going is a lot, and you need to snowball the Zarya, or the Zarya doesn't give you much at all. Cliston's been a fantastic D.Va, eating a grab wave. That's standard Cliston gameplay. He's going to do that. He will be pressuring FaZe all day, every single day of the week, and Proper on the pulse bombs as well. Those are going to get lost into the defense matrix coming through from Cliston. That's going to happen as well further on the series, I'm sure. But if you are going to play the Zarya, which in my eyes means you're playing the harder to execute composition, you must justify the thing that makes us hard. I said the same thing about Proper's May on Control Center. Justify the May. They couldn't. Now they have to justify the Zarya, and they could do that on Guardians, and that's what got them the win. Really outstanding. And it's great that this map delivered. And one can only hope that the match continues to deliver. Because, again, we've hyped it up so much, and, like, for all the joking I was saying at the start of, like, haha, what if it ends up being a 3-0? Like, man, you hope it's not going to be a 3-0. And in fact, even if it's not a 3-0... Even if it's 3 maps of this, I wouldn't mind that either. Oh, exactly, right? Like, even if it is a 3-0, I want it to be close. And if it's not a 3-0, like, we've talked this whole season long about, like, you know, the Talon and O2 kind of eyeing each other up from across the brackets. But actually, there has been, you know, this potential... you know, from out of a clear blue sky, T1 waiting in the wings, ready to absolutely socket to one or both of these teams. Like, we keep talking about how it's this 2-horse race. It's you know, we're moving towards a rematch from last season where Talon might feel like they were kind of robbed of the victory in season 1 in that grand finals, and they might not get that rematch. It might not be that clean. Could be T1 knocking out O2 Blast. Could be Talon versus T1. Could be T1 versus O2 in the final if Talon end up taking one against T1. Who knows, right? The point is, this is what we wanted to see, because this throws everything back into disarray. We are done with this purely predictable season season, finally on the last day. Not only do we have the crazy upset against CC that's kind of thrown into contention their status as a top 4 team, you've also now got this T1 versus O2 Blast matchup absolutely delivering.
And I do enjoy how the top 4 teams kind of mix, and this entire top 4 narrative, by the way, is extended from previous season, where last season we had, I would even argue, 5 teams that were very close, because Runaway was also there, that nearly made a miracle run happen in the playoffs. The Runaway dream, right? But
yeah,
we now move into this season where, okay, CC is a little bit more underwhelming, but you got 3 teams that are still absolutely stacked, and I think we've maybe undersold T1 a little bit because we've included them in that top 4 discussion. But it's so far been O2 Blast versus Talon being the pivotal matchup, and you know, we kind of eyed up O2 Blast versus T1 like that's happening in the distance somewhere, but you know, we'll see what happens when we get there. But I think we definitely undersold T1 a little bit in terms of like where they were going to be in here, and now looking at this particular matchup, I think it's quite clear that T1 have not dropped the ball even slightly since their finish from last season, where, I mean, what was their final position here? Just looking back over, they were 4th place out of the top 4 teams, and that's because they lost to O2 Blast, mind you, and O2 Blast were the lowest seed from last season. They came in having to beat Runaway in probably one of the best Contenders career matches in the history of Overwatch Contenders, and yeah, we can go back to the Kongdu Panthera versus Runaway. It's always funny how Runaway kind of deliver some of the best games. So that was that 8-map series between O2 Blast versus Runaway. I don't know if you remember.
Oh,
and then O2 Blast after that end up beating T1 and knocking them out. But that, to me, creates a bit of a rivalry here where T1 did beat O2 Blast in the Interleague for the 3rd seed tiebreaker. Then O2 Blast came and beat them 4-1, and now they face off again in what is going to be another great matchup. There has been some substitutions, though.
Yeah. Obviously, you're staring at one of them on your screen here for everything we were saying of FaZe. Now Max is coming in, Vindame as well, and then Kilo. My eye mostly actually is drawn to Kilo, so obviously going to be going over to the Hanzo, so makes a lot of sense. Kilo on the Hanzo, Proper on the Tracer. This is a pretty formidable looking DPS lineup, to be honest.
Very flexible and versatile for what it brings to the table as well. If T1 want to move over towards Orisa, the Hanzo's there for it. Dive matchup. You got the break from Vindime, who's coming in for Chio, and I think you've already said that, but Proper coming in obviously on the Tracer to match Zest Kleston now over towards the Zarya. So it's going to be double bubble, nano boost from Krillin. That's the gameplay. See how fast they get this nano.
In fact, speaking of Zest, hugely ahead of Proper in the ult charge. So that's also another thing to note. Obviously, oh man, it's going to be doubly so as he takes out his counterpart on the flank. That is enormous. Junbin's under pressure now. Zest is going to run him down. No, Kilo's marking him. Nicely found. Belastria taking a bit of heat as well, so they do have to respect this. Nice kill onto Junbin. Really brawling back and forth here. Belastria able to stay alive is an important breakpoint there for T1. They should be able to start pushing in on this point now.
Yeah, I mean, O2 Blast lose very important members. Proper, Junbin both dying. Kilo trying to pull things back over towards team's favor. Nearly onto the Dragon Strike, which will be deadly important. They need that Dragon Strike to slow down T1. The Nano Boost is available now, and T1 would love to win this without having to use it, but alas, they gotta put it in.
It's been a bit of a slow turn to the play, though, because O2 Blast, Proper's back in, Junbin's a quick reset, and Belastria is taking an absolute shellacking on this high ground. Nearly dies. Krillin did die for what it's worth, but Kilo dying here is important again for T1. They don't get what they needed out of the nano play, but once again, close to respawn. And I felt like they were a bit slower to that play than they needed to be. That's a huge sleep. Proper's done for. This should be T1. I mean, they didn't get it last time around when they came back in with a man advantage, but this time it's far more weighted. The Dragon Strike will create the extra space as well. Now they'll finally start getting the progress on the points.
Well, here it is, though. O2 Blast have proper respawning. They're going to go for the last contest here. Junbin might be dead, but they can still transfer this if they want to. They have control now because Kilo's on that high ground.
Love to see what they actually want to do about it. Proper and Zest just continuing to try and keep the pressure down as they were. Kleston might actually be an important member to reset. Self-destruct from Max is nice. Good stick. Dropping Kilo, really important. Zest able to get away with it as well. Literally getting away with murder as Finn also dying to the hands of MN3. So with that, T1, they have to really earn it. They have to brawl for it about 3 times in a row before they're finally allowed to finish capping the point. But they will cap the points.
I still got 3 ultimates to play through as well. Grav Dragon combo being the main one to talk about as Finn's already used the Transcendence. O2 Blast, unfortunately, they'll slow down the cap of T1, but they won't stop it. And Kilo's probably been the one member of O2 Blast consistently slowing the tide here. Proper's had a slow start. Zest has had the upper hand in the Tracer matchup, having that solo kill to start with, and then obviously the brilliant stick on Tequila, with Hilo down being, again, the main carry on this defense so far being shown on this map. Ultra Blast have minimal chances. Proper really needs to step up to kind of live up to this hyper carry narrative and storyline built up behind him.
Speaking of which, it's a nice grab laid out. There's the Dragon to follow it up. Very clean, very precise as well. And MN3 actually nearly died a fraction of a hair before that, so important that he didn't. I don't know that the primer was as necessary, but you'd rather use it and win the fight than not use it and not win the fight, so...
I think O2 Blast are okay with this fight. I say okay and not extremely happy because they did put in a rally in, so well played by T1 to be patient enough to wait for the rally. They spot the rally from Vindime, they put the grab in, catch the backside. There was also Byronade into the Dragon Strike, as if the Dragon Strike wasn't going to be enough damage in a grab. And then the Primal traded, I'll say, for the rally in, because I think the Grab Dragon was always going to come through, so... Jimpin might have had a slam cancelled. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, I think he did. That's kind of gone nowhere, and now Belosria's free to exert some pressure with the nano boost at his back. Pulse Bomb does go wide from Proper as well. Love to see if Zest can maybe get something out there. Ooh, they're barely touching there, and look at this, Max is getting absolutely drilled down because Junbin was only just coming back in as well. This has been a little bit off kilter here from O2 Blast, unfortunately. But really the credit is there to T1 for the forward positioning they've had, for the pressure they've been exerting.
This is good stall.
They should be rewarded with a cap here unless something goes absolutely off. Nope, doesn't happen.
Yeah, look, they'll get the cap, but Proper actually stalled that for way too long. And he got to kill the Balasria to make sure that there wasn't going to be a forward, too much forward position for T1. Obviously, MN3 will still take it what he can anyway. But that's a solid, I would say, 5 to 10 seconds off the table just from O2 Blast.
Sure.
In a solo effort from Proper. So, you know, Proper might not have showed up in the kill feed too much, but he'll at least objective-wise do what he needs to. Decent play from Jumbin just to disrupt T1's forward play on the high ground.
Kilo has really been feeling the heat as well. Speaking of high ground, dude has barely had a chance to get the spam damage off he's looking to against these tanks. Hasn't got any of the great kills against the squishy members, those really slick headshots. Zest has been really keeping him suppressed.
T1 got that Grab Dragon combo here with Jumping down. Now is the go time for sure. This is where you want to strike Nano out.
Straight into it. That's a nice anti-heal as well.
Cleston
stops Finn from rescuing him with the Transcendence. That's a good trade though. Cleston and Krilla both. Belosria going in for it with a Primal. Big commitment. Maybe an overcommitment. Slips out with his life as low as 50 there. Max, the damage, that tertiary damage I talk about with the Zarya, that starts to come through for them at the end, and now they've got T1 in full retreat. This is an important reset for O2 Blast.
I mean, Max maybe ends this fight, but really it's Kilo Proper that started in terms of the defense that you had. What was looking like a pretty poor beginning with Jimbin down 5v6. T1 have everything going their way. 6 ultimates that they want to. Nano going in. The Kilo finds a crucial frag of the Cleston to prevent the Grab Dragon combo. And now Max and Kilo get to use their own.
Very nice. Very, very nice. That's also going to allow Max, here we go, yeah, just keep that charge nice and topped off. The extra damage he was able to throw out on top of the Dragon. Fairly clean rotation.
T1, okay, they still have ultimates. That's the good news. The bad news is they've lost a lot of momentum. These resets are awful. Cleston especially, look at his energy. It's okay, 30 is not the worst. It's better than 0, but it's definitely not 90, it's not 100, it's not 80, it's not anywhere that's going to be something you want to write home about. Grab Dragon has to be the combo here, and it will be free because there's nothing to stop it on the other end. There is no Diva to eat this up. It's going to come down to O2 Blast and their spacing. They survive against Proper's Pulse Bomb.
Big damage. Oh, Cleston! Cleston goes down. Proper just finds his marks, and now Zest dropped. It's going to be about a minute on the clock by the time this reset's been fully resolved. They're looking to go deep on this. Slammed out to try and stop those respawners getting back in. No, good save from Cleston. That also gets a little bit of charge back in the pocket, but this allows O2 Blast to start getting back into some ultimates of their own.
They've been sitting on this Grab Dragon T1 for so long. It's been 2 minutes of this so far. Every single time you think T1's going to go in, they're waiting for it. We're looking from Cleston's POV. He's the furthest forward, which actually is probably not the correct thing. Belosria needs to be a little bit further forward. They need the Nano in. Put Belosria into the front line, then give Cleston a little bit of space to buy them this Grab Dragon finally.
Speaking of space, Belosria straight in the Nano.
Dude, he's nearly dead.
Has to back up, get topped off. Nice find from Zest. Important stick to finish off Junbin. O2 Blast.
Here it is.
Pull back, give space, the grab. Where's the dragon? Watch Finn, though. He's got the Transcendence. Kilo does die to Zest. The extra damage there. There we go. Max dead late in it. No counter grab dragon. Now they're waiting for respawns. At least the cart went a little bit back, so they're able to buy that time. But even so, Belostria is keeping them suppressed while he can. There's going to be some late respawns on some of these members. In fact, a lot of this is now going to be hung on the grab dragon, and that's if they can even get out of the spawn gates.
Finn going over towards the back as well. They want that immortality field. Here it is. Counter grab dragon from the backline. Max has to land this big time. Needs to go on the card. It does.
And Sony really found Cleston, though. They do at least finish him off, but they're going to need a fair bit more. Nice immortality field. Super clutch there on those members as Zest dies to the minefield while his pulse bomb goes wide. Real bad result. Another nano onto Belostria. It's just the endless cycle of nano straight into primal. Junbin down though as he rolls himself over the edge. Important kill from Proper getting picked up there, nearly on a pulse bomb. Has the extra armor still hanging on from the rally. Speaking of rally, Vindame held on to the last there. He's bought his team as much time as he possibly can, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. We need to see that playmaking potential. We need to see King Proper retake his throne right now, and it's not looking like it's going to happen. T1 are all over this one, and there's the final kill onto Proper to secure the cap.
Oh my goodness, I thought the rally from Vindime was going to be enough from O2 Blast, but Junbin sending himself off the edge, and that is on top of MN3 popping off, getting 2 frags in the middle of that fight, and a 3rd kill coming through from a suicide, a misplay on the pile drive from Junbin. That cannot happen. I'm not going to pretend like maybe if Junbin lived that could have been different, but there's a small part of me that's like, yeah, maybe it could have. Having an extra main tank stall out for you, buy time for your team, putting Kilo and Proper into the right position, that's absolutely what you need. I think Kilo coming back on him Widowmaker of all picks is probably not ideal. I mean, he's under a bit of pressure there. Maybe he trusts his own aim, but Hanzo is absolutely what you need, and he's been playing Hanzo the entire map so far. It's been looking phenomenal. I don't know why you would change off that. Hanzo is definitely a lot more consistent. Ultra Blast just needed more. They needed more on the payload. They needed more on the point. They started out so well. Cliston got deleted. And we can argue, like, was that a big enough Grand Dragon? I'm going to say it was. Like, you want to take down big damage deals like Cliston. The Zest dies to the mines anyway. That's a 6v4 that Ultra Blast don't win. Plus respawn advantage on their own side. MN3 clutched up big time.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And look, credit is there. O2 Blast will have to cap out now. We're looking towards a time bank situation. Though in all fairness, ideal scenario actually would be for O2 Blast to cap out with more than a minute, and then it's a lopsided time bank.
Again, putting this in the context, we talked about this at the start of the broadcast today, though. Just capping Kings Row, just capping Hybrid to this entire season has been quite the journey for most teams. Now,
this would be our 3rd time bank.
O2 Blast isn't just some team, so we will give them the benefit of the doubt that they can do this, but just saying it's been hard for most teams to cap.
Sorry, I lied. 2nd time bank. If this goes to, it'll be our 2nd time bank. Man, T1. All over those backliners. Zest has gone so unchecked, it beggars belief.
Well, he's going to go further unchecked here, and the only person that can check him is Kilo, but that 1v1 is almost heavily won by the Tracer. Proper on a Genji is an interesting pick because they're trying to very heavily play into Finn on the Ana, and Proper back on his Mystery Heroes vibe, right? Like I said, he's kind of like Mini Leave, he's like Korean Leave in that kind of way. He has the hero pool, he has the skill, but does he have the X Factor? Does he have the clutch potential? Does he have that mechanical god prowess that Leave does have? That is the difference between what I think is the best Overwatch player in the world and possibly who could be next in line, but Proper needs to prove it today.
That sleep was really nice on MN3. It's given O2 Blast some room to work with, and now they're trying to make something of that. But the damage on Belostria, it's been good. It's brought him low, but they haven't been able to finish him off, nor have they put him overly on the ropes. They get a bit of positioning here, but T1 are close on some big ultimates. That's huge. Great manual hack and straight into a Bionade. The dive is super slick as soon as it comes in. They read the timings there as well. They knew that that nano was going to be available for Krillin. They committed with their own out of Finn. By the time Krillin can use his, there are no good targets left alive. So O2 Blast, they kind of get the twofer as you get the fight and get the cap immediately thereafter because they've already got the part of the cap before the fight started.
Now, deadly stuff coming on through, and it's not over yet. Junbin still wants to dive in deep. He's got to be careful here. He's feeding ult charge. He's not gaining any. You've already got the primal rage, son. If you just die here, or even if you get too heavily damaged, you are giving away charge to T1. And that will make a difference at the end of the day. But let's talk about that last fight as well, because O2 Blast suddenly unlocked, and they really went in deep off the back of a nano. Proper dying here is not great. It's not
Big oof.
end of the world. Okay, it's a bit of an oof. I wouldn't say it's a big oof. I'll give you a medium-sized one. Ultra Blast will get proper back in. It just means they don't have a forward hold.
Yeah, what would you like to order? Yeah, can I get a medium oof, please? And that's already a follow-up oof. You know, I'll add an oof fries to that.
Sure.
Kilo down.
You want a diet oof on the side for a drink?
Yeah, side of diet oof, please. O2 Blast, I mean, this is, yeah, not the meal they were wanting.
I'll tell you what, O2 Blast have ordered everything off the menu. They're like, can I have one of each? Because they got 6 ultimates online in just a hot second.
It's like the old joke about the Dalai Lama getting a pizza.
This is gonna be, one of each, one with peace. Maybe I get it.
You know what? I'll tell it later because first of all, Proper, who is absolutely at peace with everything right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
3 on his own, now 4. Come on, get quested. Do the whole lot, mate. You've earned it. Now, Finn will find Zest, so it's not quite going to be the full 6, but the Dalai Lama walks into a pizza store. The guy says, what can I get you? And the Dalai Lama says, can you make me one with everything?
Okay.
It's a real old classic. And then, like, Australia's Prime Minister told it to the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama didn't get it.
Let me tell you something a little bit better, though.
Thing that's ever happened.
Proper being unlocked now on this Genji. Obviously, Nano Blades are always going to be good, but that was absolutely sexy, and that was on top of the fact that we saw a great one come through in the A play as well. Not the Nano Blade, just a great Genji. Neutral. And by the way, we're not on the live patch. Genji is not buffed on this patch, in case anyone was wondering. So no, this is not that so far. EMP on 2.
Yeah, it's certainly not stopped any team. That cap just kind of snuck over the line. T1 caught sleeping, literally and figuratively. Is now the aggression. Look at this great dive. If they'd been able to finish off Krillin, that would have been absolutely brutal. Instead, Junbin goes down thanks to the anti-heal. That was real touch and go, actually. If it killed Krillin, first of all, the anti-heal wouldn't have been able to go on, and when it did, second of all, would have been a lot more forward positioning. But even then, Kilo is going to make up for the loss of Junbin and the lack of that early kill, as they've created so much space for themselves.
Let's address something really quickly here, as O2 Blast are reaching the end of this point on C, and they have just under 4 minutes to do so. It could be a huge time bank. That would be brutal for T1, who desperately need to slow this down. They're going to have to play the Nano. It should be coming on through. Yeah, there it is.
All right, straight into it onto Bellostria. No surprises there. Bumped back for the time being, so it's not maximum value. M3 is in a world of hurt. Has to translocate to safety. Bellostria bounces back, immediately manually hags. As O2 Blast continues moving the card forward. This grab could be enormous. Look at this. You can tell Question, he's all on top of it. But the timing is just there. Has to force a self-destruct to try and get out of this one alive. Will not be remeching. It's not the most high-value grab, but Junbin! Look at this guy. Excuse me. I mean, you think it's going to be Donkey Kong with the gorilla, but no, son, it's Mario. O2 Blast 307.
You know what he did there? Both supports were in spawn. Junbin was locking them down in spawn, like 1v2. I think it was 1v3, actually. There was a third player over on that side of the map. And he just presses shift, dives into spawn. Obviously, it's a very small roof. Hits his head, instantly lands on double supports, and gets that 50 damage drop on top of them. Boom. Squished. Talking about Super Mario, bam, there it is. O2 Blast dominated that attack, 307, and it wasn't even a Nano Blade. They put the Nano into Junbin. They said, no, you know what? It doesn't need to be a Nano Blade. Just a regular blade will do. I don't even know how to properly use it. Didn't have to. Junbin finished it off.
Nano. So huge. I mean, that's O2 Blast. Just kind of showing the prowess, right? Flexing a little bit. And I said, ideal for O2 Blast would actually be to not just fully cap out, but cap out with more than a minute. And now the second time bank we've seen on Hybrid ever.
It's going to be a draw.
Impressively, is with O2 Blast having 3 whole minutes where they only need to get a third.
Yeah. I don't want to speak the draw into existence, but I do have to address the fact that it could still happen. T1 if they get a very fantastic.
How about you shut your mouth?
I'm literally paid to talk.
Why would you ever do that? Why would you? That's a good point, actually. Don't shut your mouth. You're currently under contract.
No, you go now. I'm going to shut my mouth.
Yeah, sure. No, I will. I will. 3 whole minutes, and it's not going to be a draw. I just huffed some spice. That sounded worse than I meant it. It's a Dune reference, people. I don't have a problem.
The problem is, like, everyone born after the year 2000 has no idea what you're talking about. Until they watch the new movie.
In, what, November, when it's finally going to go wide release?
So after November, people will know what you're talking about, but until then...
Yeah.
Until then, Cliston's dead, and that might just be the cap now.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything about the book or the movie, but it's like that time when nothing happens. O2 Blast. They do lose 2 on the back end of it, but Bellostria is looking to go down here. Nice follow-up from Junbin to find that. got the manpower, they've got the closer respawn, and they've certainly collected the kills as well. Not even going to need one of the 3 minutes they had at their disposal. They will be able to get the third.
Wow, damn, dude. Looking at that from Jimbin's POV was hilarious as well. His rapid tracking of where Zest was tracing. He's just, you know, just going from left to right on this Winston, just trying to track it with the Tesla cannon. As Ultra Blast, look, if they get an opening frag like that, unfortunately, Cleston Zarya has been heavily targeted today, and I think that's what you need to do in Zarya matchups. Targeting the Zarya is just going to ruin that player's day. Zarya is one of those heroes that, I think the only hero in the entire game, and this is kind of unique to Overwatch in terms of mechanics, that actually has a ramping kind of mechanic in the game. Obviously, I'm not going to explain how energy works. If you're watching this broadcast, you know how Zarya works. The point is, you're having a bad day if you're being targeted hardcore, and I think Cleston Zarya was a little uninspiring in that matchup. I think that was part of the reason. I think Cleston's D.Va has been far better, especially you know, roll the clock back a little bit. We were on League Jungle. The D.Va was very important in that matchup, especially in terms of slowing down phase. I don't think, you know, it didn't shut down phase, but it slowed down phase. Here, Max, off the back of then also O2 Blast, having a clearer idea, possibly, I'm maybe clutching at straws with this, but of what they're doing with the Zarya matchup. Yeah, they put Max in a position to succeed, and unfortunately, Cleston just couldn't find that same success.
And speaking of success, I mean, that 3 minutes in the bank, that's the most one-sided this has looked so far, but the real story is actually told in the fact that the scoreline is now 2-0. And we talk about consistency, you know, it's close, sure, but like when you are the team that is consistently clutching it out when it matters the most, that's where I think that's where the measure is really made, right? So O2 Blast now 2-0, very familiar position for them, and it's going to be up to T1 to maybe disrupt that. Last chance to do it. Last chance to at least take a map off them, blemish that otherwise flawless record that O2 Blast have had. But O2 Blast, they've got it in their sights, and I guarantee you they are not going to let a map go easily. But that will come up after the break. talk about some Overwatch. This feels familiar. It's 2-0, but
It's 0-2.
in the same way, yeah, it's 2-0 2. In equal measure, it feels like new territory. By the way, anytime I think of like 2-0 for O2, I just think of those glasses that everyone had like before we hit the year 2010, where you could have the 2 zeros in the middle at a New Year's party. If like 2002, that was always a good time.
Yeah.
So
And I've always
remind
enjoyed
everyone
it, you know, whenever O2 has been in let's be clear, we've covered O2 since at least 2019 when they're at the Pacific Showdown. And whenever they've been either 2 maps up or 2 maps down, the whole O2 thing has just been relevant. It's beautiful.
I love
always
it.
poetic.
What an excellent name.
Yeah. Several years running, 3 years running now, it's been poetic the entire way through. And the only times that it's not poetic and that it doesn't make sense is the 1-on-1. So I think, you know, whenever I cast O2, I don't want to see a 1-on-1. It needs to be either 2-0 or 0-2.
Well, that's the thing. Like, 2 out of 3 potential results include the 2-0 or 0-2 for O2, which is interesting because the name, if you think about it, is just Oxygen Blast, which doesn't sound anywhere near as cool.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like a wizard spell.
Does it? How is that? It's just like breathe more. Like it's not like air blast.
blast.
Air blast sounds like I don't know. It sounds
mean?
like a pressure jet or something. O2 is just like it's just a gas canister
Oxygen's
because you got a lung
combustible
deficiency.
under very with a certain. I'm not a chemicals guy. I just oxygen. Yeah, oxygen's flammable, isn't it?
It is like hence the blast. Like pure oxygen is extremely flammable. Don't get me wrong, but just saying. O2.
Now explain this one. There used to be O2 Ardent. What does that mean?
Yeah, what's up with that?
That was ages ago. That was when Ardent went from Pacific to Korea, merged with the O2 org, and then eventually they dropped the Ardent part and it just became O2 Blast. And since then, here they are. As we have a large number of substitutions. It's literally just, you know, move all 3 of the runaway players back in. It's quite interesting that that's been their substitution strategy. It's not like other teams where you just change the 1 member, like, yeah, we'll just move Top Dragon out, put Shock in. No, it's 3 members on O2 Blast being subbed in. Half your team over the course of various maps in and out. It's always the same 3 members as well.
Same 3. Why not? MN3. Oh, nearly got the opening frag. Instead, Proper gets it. MN3 goes for a second poke. Gets rezzed.
Farah winning
gets rezzed so that he can swap quicker.
Winning the duel against a Widowmaker is not what you expect. That's quite a different kind of outcome than what is advertised on the brochure. This is actually going to be Zest over towards the Farah as well, trying to match the Sky. M3 moving over towards McCree. Anna's on both ends. Anna for the side of Ultra Blast, more favored towards giving Nano over towards Proper, as Krillin's got some options for Battleria or Zest.
Ultra Blast now, comfortably in the skies. MN3 is unique. Oh, that's a clean shot, right on top of the gondola. O2 Blast really in control now with that extra kill. Zest has to be way more cautious.
I mean, Zest is out of the picture. Proper literally doesn't care. You could see that as soon as Unique went down, Proper turned his attention over towards the rest of T1. He doesn't even care where Zest is. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Zest is not going to be in play. And if he is in play, that would be suicide indeed. Faces a bit of a sleep dart, but seems to be okay. T1's minute and 15 gone, and the Nano will finally coming through. It is going to come in earlier than Finn, but not by much.
And now to Blast. Oh, that's a huge find. That needs to be raised quick. Smart. Nope, never mind. Chio's dead. Zest, hello. All right, sure. Just receives. It gets 4. Why not? Why not? What a guy. I got nothing more to say to that.
It is. It's the difference in slightly higher Nano uptick time. I'm not too sure if Ultra Blast are ready for that just yet. And possibly Ultra Blast were going to wait and greed their Nano slightly. So when Krillin pops the Nano, Finn was going to respond, but just didn't get the opportunity. Krillin pops the Nano onto Zest, who instantly one-shots Proper and further. Cap's gone through here as also, despite the fact that Proper finally has Nano to play with, they've lost the Cap and they have to back out.
That's nuts. I mean, what a huge play out of T1 as well. Just kind of pull that rabbit out the hat. And now O2 Blast going to have to try and recover a bit of positioning. Oh, nearly got the second rocket, nearly clean as a whistle. And now suddenly it's Proper and Chio really feeling the heat in the dogfight.
That was a midi from Zest that actually catches both Proper and Chio. A bit of collateral damage there. Very rare to see that. Zest has been landing so many of these shots on the Proper, who's, I don't even know if I dare say, struggling in this matchup. Here's Zest again.
Man. Oh, look at that. Proper finally pays one back as they kill Zest as well. Gets taken out of the skies, so it's a bit more of an honest ground fight now with both Pharaohs off the table. Main difference is that Chio is still in the mix, Unique is not, which means A, Proper can be rezzed, B, there's just more healing at the disposal of O2 Blast.
Speaking of healing, I mean, Cliston was on 1 HP the entire time, is currently still there, barely healed into action. LS3 onto Merit is going to enable the 6v5 nanos available for both sides, but T1 has more ultimates. Where are the Pharaohs in terms of this duel right now?
I mean, where's the ground game happening? Proper's at least winning the dogfight in a big way, but Belosria was seriously challenging O2 Blast on the ground. That was touch and go for a hot minute. If Belosria had been able to pick up some kills on the back line of O2 Blast, I don't think Proper could have got those kills, or even if he had, they wouldn't have mattered. Instead, this is O2 Blast having enough of a lead in this fight that even with the death they suffered there on Proper, they're able to recover the situation, res Proper back in any way, and now the cart has really come to a halt.
So this is the other side of the coin as well, by the way. We did see when Zest and Krillin made the play earlier over towards A. Krillin gives a nano for Zest, instantly drills down Proper, and then Chio with double rockets, end up with a 4K, I believe, for Zest. This time it's Proper that gets the earlier nano. Krillin doesn't put it into Zest in time, as Zest is blown up. Unique follows. Krillin dies. If it wasn't for the one sleep dart that Krillin hits into Proper, that could have been far more disastrous. But Ultra Blast recovered anyway, because who expects that Jimbin is going to be flanking through?
I mean, yeah, sure, who indeed? Now Junbin, he's going to get taken out here. The extra damage coming through. Nice sleep on Belosria, but he's already put enough forward pressure down.
Good hack.
We're also seeing it's really important timing there.
Both Finn and
just
Krillin
trying to
have
buy a bit of space.
Hit so many good sleeps today, and most of Finn's sleeps have been on Belosria. That's going to be a good pickup coming from M3. Probably difficult to face this one. Finally can't get it.
That's big. The dive immediately popping Chio means now it's just free game for Zest, who has the nano at his back as well. So huge damage coming in. Nearly got the late DMAC on phase. That is a hair's breadth, I tell you. He might even get DMAC. No, he pulls back clean, but Proper dies second time anyway. And the cap comes through while that's all playing out.
So, O2 Blast having an EMP available to play with. It's up against 4 ultimates from T1 with Zest very far forward also. They have to deal with that before they can move towards the payload. Cap did come through from T1, so 308 on the scoreboard for time so far. T1 can definitely get this done. They can definitely cross the board. They must survive the EMP though. Oh, they got to survive Proper as well.
Oh man, that's enormous. That's a really big fight for Proper. Just see what Unique does in the meantime. Potentially going to go for a res. No, not going to be able to get the positioning on that.
Absolutely
so nice
not.
Angle on the kill.
Yeah, I mean that kill was so good for Proper. Zest's body is so far in front lines of O2 Blast, who immediately push on towards it. That's another thing you have to remember as well, that when you do get these important frags, you have to push onto the body, make sure that the res can't come on through. Proper with another good firing rocket onto the skies, warning shot into Zest. T1 have 4 ultimates, but Ultra Blast have bought time. Ultra Blast have bought themselves 4 ultimates just off of Proper getting a solo frag on Zest.
Really solid situation. Look at this. Merit is in a flawless position.
What is that flashbang?
Gets caught out by the flashbang, and that's a huge turnaround. The cancel on the EMP is bonkers. That would have been such a good position. They could have completely cut off MN3, and they were in position for it. I think MN3 just sort of sniffed it out. He's like, hold on, something's not right here. He wasn't even trying to flashbang Merit. That was just a bonus while he was going for Junbin. But now the rescue play started to come in. Proper fun sets. Everyone's just getting slept up here. Self-destruct laid up. This could be potentially devastating. Look at that. Bumps some members right into the jaws of T1. And now pushing forward, looking to get this over the line. Another beautiful sleep coming through onto Belosria, equally matched onto Junbin, who is still not being able to pop that primal rage, and now goes down. Doesn't get a chance to use it. Minute and a half on the clock. T1 well in the driver's seat, just cleaning up these last couple of members as MN3 and Cliston on a bit of a tear about now. The cap looking to come through. About 1 minute 20 on the clock.
Yeah, Junbin going for the touch. No, the primal rage a tad too late. Just couldn't pop it early. If Junbin had been able to use primal rage before he died previously, I could see O2 Blast maybe stalling a little bit longer. But that is a critical capture for T1. Minute 21 remaining here as well. Not that the minute part matters because we're on escort, but T1 finishing Rialto, which is definitely one of the hardest maps in the set to finish alongside Havana. I mean, that's insane. T1 absolutely get that mile from their inch as well. talk about the fact that unfortunately Junbin kind of betrays Merit's positioning there, because Junbin further pushes into MN3. Like I sort of said, that MN3 was going for a flashbang onto Merit, and it ends up catching Merit, onto Junbin. It ends up catching Merit as well on the back end, because Junbin was standing in front of Merit. Now, it did not cancel the EMP. It still came through. It still caught both MN3, and I believe Krillin was the second person. But it's not the ideal EMP. That's not really, I think, what Merit was looking for. They just wanted to do some good damage on towards MN3's McCree there with the, you know, the dive in from the tank of Junbin, plus some damage from Merit. EMP unrequired there. O2 Blast, after losing that, I mean, that is exactly when the dam broke and the water started flooding out, and that's how T1 cap.
Just genuinely excellent. And, wow. 121 on a map that is not an easy cap. O2 Blast, they got their work cut out for them. I am reminded a little bit of King's Row insofar as, you know, it went, okay, O2 Blast need a cap, ideally with a minute. Obviously, they need to do better than that here again, but they exceeded my minimum expectations in a big way back on King's Row. Question is, can they replicate that success?
O2 Blast, double bubble, Tracer Sombra. A ball gameplay would be had big opponent at least to start things out with, and T1 to see what they can do on the exact same composition. It is both teams no fire gameplay. Interesting that both teams opted into the fire for the last round of regulation, but here it's just not going to be the case at all. Obviously T1 are a team that started that with a no fire on their own defense. FaZe looking for energy, currently on 0.
Yeah, not being able to get a whole lot of charge there, unfortunately. Belastria taking an anti-heal, but he's otherwise fine as they're just jostling for cart positioning. O2 Blast holding on to that high ground for dear life. MN3's got a significant lead over Merit, and that could actually be where the difference is really made. Good kill on Zest, and there we go. It's the opening up phase is able to pick up a bit of charge. It's really starting to show up as well. 3 members down means O2 Blast, they have some serious momentum on their side now. This might actually be a full momentum push through to an A-cap, because look at how much dominance they're taking over the bridge.
Nano Boost finally coming through for Junbin as well. He will get the Primal Rage off this. He's well ahead of Belastria as well. It's going to be a sleep into a kill for Kleston. Krillin, no response, no Nano. That could have been a save.
Nice pole spot, proper, able to just fish Krillin out. He was forced forward. Belastria, that's a really nice CMP from Merit. Remember that MN3 was actually leading him in terms of ult charge instead. Look at that, O2 Blast, they're able to keep the momentum cleanly across the A-cap. Now even a late kill. Could be another late kill onto Krillin, just farming up these late respawning members. Really nice stuff from O2.
It's just unlucky. I mean, Krillin respawns just before the payload goes across the line, which means he gets the bad spawn. Nothing much you can do about that one. Just have to face the death in front of you, the imminent death in T1. Getting snowballed here ever so slightly, but O2 Blast, they know how to play the momentum so beautifully. Nano into an EMP, crushed all of the response that T1 would have had, and now let's see what MN3 can do.
Ooh, okay. It's a good EMP. They found FaZe early, Chio as well. That's an important start. No real trades through. Part of that is that Merit was slept, and O2 Blast didn't really want to invest risky plays.
Things going down there, very important. Bravo's going to come on through for O2 Blast eventually, and resetting that energy is going to give O2 Blast a bit harder of a time now moving forward, especially that T1 still have room to hacked out. Alive for now.
Belastria is able to get that primal off in time, at least matching Junbin. FaZe is still in a bit of a rebuild in terms of the charge, but has the grab available. So the rally gets its fullness. Junbin now, a nicely timed nano boost. No nano delivered to Belastria. He just straight up goes down. This is an important break point now. O2 Blast have a man advantage. They've still got the grab. What are T1 going to do to try and turn it around?
They have to try and eat this, but that's all they can do. But even they can eat it. I don't know if they can win this team fight. Hack onto MN3. It's a catch on towards the grab as well.
Nice marking there by Kleston, but a huge EMP across from Merit. Hold up a hot tick though, because FaZe is down. They haven't been able to follow up on the EMP. Big tunnel vision onto MN3, essentially solo grab onto him. And yeah, Kleston didn't have the defense matrix to eat the grab. Instead, he just hung it over MN3 the whole time he was in the grab. He did not go down. Big EMP across from Merit, completely unfollowed up, and at the same time, they've set themselves up to get some kills around the back line of O2 Blast. I mean, it just flips back completely the other way.
It's strange that Krillin's Nano Boost, which he held onto for so long, ends up being the highest value on the strangest of persons to put it on, which is MN3, and that's just because MN3 got caught. They wanted to save him. O2 Blast obviously overcommitted, like you sort of mentioned, but they had to get something out of the grab, right? They were desperate to get value on that grab, and T1 struck. FaZe went down. O2 Blast still in trouble here. They need this Nano Boost to come on through. Junbin with the Primal can absolutely push the envelope for O2 Blast to move forward.
They'd preserved so much momentum from A through to B, but it's all started to run dry for them. FaZe has also been reset time and time again, struggling to get that lead. Nice find by Cleston. Meanwhile, Zeph far more successful with his pulse bomb. The trades are there, though. No backliners. It's the most honest duel possible, but it's a duel that T1 are on the upper hand on. Junbin in trouble, does not end up choosing to Primal. That's going to be O2 Blast again reset.
Yeah, it's O2 Blast just kind of waving the white flag on that fight there, understanding, okay, you know, we don't want to be throwing extra ultimates into a losing fight. Understandable. Support's dead there. Nana was played in by both sides, matched by T1 and O2 Blast. And useful stuff by Bellasaria to stay in. T1 have burned down the clock significantly. I mean, what have we got left? 140 now. O2 Blast closer to the EMP. They need to do something with it, though. Fast rally coming on through from Chio. It's go time for O2 Blast.
This has got to be it. Bellasaria just trying to corral some members away. Junbin looking to get aggressive in his own right. Neither seems like they have a particular wealth of targets, but Junbin's certainly taking more of a beating. Still has a little bit of Primal Rage left, just trying to keep that forward pressure down, but eyes on MN3 and Merit. Junbin's low, EMP is first out from MN3. No EMP from Merit to match, and that's going to be that one. 2 clean kills collected up thereafter. Bellasaria still low, but still alive, most crucially. FaZe again reset late in the fight. O2 Blast fishing for something. Doesn't end up happening. Brutal reset.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because T1 and O2 Blast are actually matching each other's ultimates beat for beat. They're unfortunate for O2 Blast, obviously great for T1. That was going to be, you know, rally for rally, primal for primal there. EMP was going to be traded both ways, but Merit getting caught, Proper getting caught as well. The entire front line with Junbin, Merit, and Proper all going down, and for O2 Blast, that's going to be lights out for that fight. Less than 40 seconds now. Junbin receives another nano, and again, it's just responded to on the other side.
Yep, exactly the same thing. And that Grav potential difference, I mean, it's failed to really amount to much so far. Junbin does go down, but this is at least an advantageous fight for O2 Blast. 20 seconds of the clock could not come any later. Okay, it's a solo Grav, but it's a more successful one than the last time they did that. But yeah, look, at least it works. Cleston gets manually hacked as well. He's at least forced back, but he survives. They might go for a last-minute recontest here. They certainly can.
I have the Primal Rage, but no, they don't. Bellasaria.
Super huge.
That's massive.
Kills off Bellasaria. They get a secondary manual hack on the Cleston, which means no self-destruct. Both to either reset the mech or even just clear some space off this point in the overtime. So there we go. O2 Blast, they get this one done. They're not going to be able to match the time bank, though. They're definitely going to come in under. Probably only going to cap in the overtime, if at all.
That means they have to have perfect gameplay for the rest of this one. Really, you have no more room for error. You must be playing for every single fight when to even think about getting this cap over, and that B cap itself was pretty difficult. A second solo grab on MN3. They want to get T1 down, but they want to kill MN3 especially badly. With Merit down, though, it's going to be 5v6, and T1 have the full stack coming up. It's going to be 6 ults.
O2 Blast is so sorely on the back foot, which is something I seldom have cause to say. They're going to fish for it, though. Junbin going in with the Primal. Big reset on the health bar. Does at least force Bellasaria to commit his. Let's see who gets what done. Proper nothing with the Pulse Bomb. Later into the bout now, the rally forced out. O2 Blast is still getting progress. They lose Junbin, but look at this. They've forced some ultimates out of T1. That's what they need to do. Only 30 seconds left on the clock. They've got to reset now. They can't afford these late deaths. Oh, I think that might just sell it down the river for O2 Blast. 25 seconds on the clock, still waiting for members.
Down the river, indeed, down the canal here on Rialto. O2 Blast are running out of options. Yeah, they got some ultimates, but they don't have the time. We talked about them finishing this in the OT. Well, the OT is going to start a lot sooner and a lot further back in terms of payload progress than what O2 Blast are looking for. And maybe this isn't even going to be a proper last fight. Look how far forward T1 are.
It's nuts. What can they get done? They've had to put the nano onto FaZe, and they're even not even near the cart. Has to go for something big. They will be able to touch, thanks to Proper, who's now sacrificing a little bit of that health bar. Damage in from FaZe has got to be decent. Junbin takes the manual hack. There's no nano. Decent EMP out from O2. Better one out at T1, but it's O2 getting a better end of the deal. Look at the damage on FaZe. That extra little bit, the tertiary Zarya damage. Finally, we see him hitting the 80s. And here we go, O2 Blast now. They could yet get it over the line. They've got just enough ultimates.
80s, baby. It's groovy for O2 Blast. Maybe they can still do this one. The Graviton Surge. Cleston is going to have to... I don't really care. I don't know what the 80s is. It doesn't really matter. I just tried to force that one in there, just like O2 Blast will try and force this cap to happen to take us to the time back. Graviton Surge.
big hair, it's gated reverb, and it's glam rock. Let's go. What can they accomplish here? Nicely done. The polyester and leopard print. The range of plastics as the pulse bomb pops off. Cleston self-destruct. Doesn't get it. Reese does, in fact, reset the mech, though. Here we go. Last in it. Junbin gets a primal.
No way.
Critical timing. They barely get it over the line. They still have a shot at the 3-0.
Unbelievable there. O2 Blast clutch on through, Grav into a pulse bomb. Junbin's on 1 HP, finds the primal rage, doesn't die. Krillin with a beautiful bionet, but T1 can't keep it going. Yeah, it was just so much there. Second to last fight could have gone either way, and O2 Blast, they had to touch the payload right here. Pretty much where the camera is where O2 Blast had to initiate the OT push. And the hardest push, one of the hardest fights you can take afterwards, is inside the final section of C, in that kind of like art gallery statue area. Don't really know what it's called. For actual camp itself, I suppose. You also don't know what it's called, so that's fine. O2 Blast. Man,
it's actually called the Arezzi.
You made that up.
I did just make that up, yeah.
It's called the pepperoni.
Yeah, that sounds right, actually. One minute on the clock. O2 Blast, I will say they had a good push through A. They preserved a lot of momentum. If they can do the same thing again, then I think they could give themselves just enough lead. Distance is king.
221 for T1, though. Obviously, you know, with the one added for O2 Blast, T1 get even more. Obviously, there's no draw. This is Escort. We're not playing for a draw scenario, but we are looking for, like you said, what distance O2 Blast get. I'm going to say right now, if they can camp A, that's already more distance than they should be allowed to get.
Huge bionade onto the back line as Machio lives. That's really important. Little micro play. As now this is O2 Blast's opportunity to get aggressive. They demech Cleston. That's a huge opening. Looking to get the damage on. Here we go. Look, Proper's coming to life now. Really starting to get the plays in. They drop Cleston. They found that one out. Battlestria takes Chio, but he's looking to trade his own life for it. Ah, Finn goes down as well. Closer respawns for O2, but they need them big time. Phaser Slight. He's going down. Look at this. Their late kill on Junbin. 10 seconds now for O2.
And it's going to have to be Merit touching probably. Yep, he's already in position for it. Is invisible, has a target onto Krillin, but it's going to be tough. All of T1 have arrived, and O2 Blast is still waiting in the wind's face. Has gone over towards Diva. Here it is. A hack!
He's
a kill!
That's so beautiful. They knew that it had to be him to go for it, so MN3 was there, ready for the manual hacks. Now they just go straight into a 5v6. There's going to be a nano on Finn, but Krillin's got one sooner. Pulse bomb out from Zest. Doesn't find its mark. The nano on Krillin. They're still waiting. FaZe is hacked out. They're going to have Merit back in. They commit the nanos at the same time. Who's going to get the primal? Belastria has it first. The fight's not on the card. The EMP looking to come out from MN3. Junbin suffering from it big time. Now slept. Ground control to death. No primal rage. 55.85 meters. T1 are finally going to make God bleed.
And it's not going to be enough. It is not enough distance for O2 Blast. T1 have 221 to just get that easily doable. I probably shouldn't use the word easy in context of facing O2 Blast. Nothing against O2 Blast will be easy. It will be challenging. But that's going to be the gauntlet thrown down. What we saw on King's Row has been reversed. In that, sure, both teams cap. One team has a significant advantage. It's not 3 minutes for T1, but it's still more than double the time of what O2 Blast ended up having, and O2 Blast needed far more than this. Look at that payload. It's right on the cusp of T1, claiming the first map victory any team will get against O2 Blast this entire season. It's that close. Well, let's slip through the fingers. T1 got to grasp it.
I mean, corner. It's past the corner. There is a fuller hold. There is a very real fuller hold. Like, it's not even in a ridiculous position. It is possible to not break that first corner. Yep. We saw it earlier today.
I'll tell you right now.
We saw exactly that earlier today.
That kind of optimism is certainly glass half full of hold, indeed. So, we'll see if it comes true. Look, if there's a team that can make that clutch happen, it's definitely O2 Blast. But also consider that T1 have played exceptionally well on this map so far. Alright, Merit's going to start out into the corner. MN3 to start with. No fire. That's probably a good thing for T1. I don't know if that is a good thing for T1, but they'll have identified the lineup now. And interesting again that both teams, after playing this fire versus fire have just gone away and said, you know what, we're not going to do it. T1 even could play a fire here, knowing that it would be a good matchup versus Sombra Tracer, but they're not going to go towards it. It's going to be a bit more honest gameplay. Kleston onto the Zarya. We'll see how much he gets.
O2 Blast playing it close to the chest. Kleston on the Zarya could actually be the linchpin here, the keystone. Finn's in trouble. He needs to stay alive. They're able to protect him from the dive, but that means there's a little bit of pressure on the cart that T1 can now exert. And I say Kleston's a linchpin because if he gets reset a lot, that could be it, but builds up the charge. Opposite story.
I mean, this is a kill to pop at 6v5 now. Kleston being the linchpin. We'll see if that matters at the end of the day. It could go both ways. Nano coming up through. Finn.
There's got to be something. Pulse Bomb goes wide from Zest. That's a silver lining. Junbin, the nano boost. It's got to be big. It's got to be huge for them, in fact. They're not getting anything done out of it just yet. Krillin is lagging behind, but he'll get the second one. That's... Junbin barely gets out, but FaZe now eats sleep. Oh, that's a huge grenade. Velocery is hacked as well. They at least force them back. That gives O2 Blast some crucial breathing room.
Proper is back, but Krillin has a nano advantage. Now this is tense. This is tight. The pressure is on. And Junbin crumbles. MN3 is all about it.
It's not even going on to Velocery. They put it on to MN3. He goes, sub me in, coach. Now a Deadeye out. It's gross. Proper drops Kleston. I think he overheard me, but wrong call, bud. And a huge EMP. But it is all pittance to the Piper. O2 Blast, I mean, we're hyping it up. They're still on match point, but first map loss all season long. And that proves that they're beatable. It proves that they might even be beaten tonight.
It's the start of that journey. It would be a reverse sweep. Let's put it into context. You would have the reverse sweep O2 Blast. So O2 Blast is still at match point. They're still in the lead. Still a very close Rialto, but this is T1 showing some life, and otherwise what was looking like a series that potentially could end in a 3-0. And, you know, we joked about it. We said, yeah, what if T102 just end in a 3-0? But it's not going to happen anymore. Nope, minimum 4 maps. And that's my expectation. That would have been my minimum expectation, that there should be 4 maps here. If not 5. If not a draw on the next map. We'll see. Both teams have been neck and neck. And even towards the end there, like, that was getting down to very minuscule margins. But MN3 pulling through some gigantic shots, pushing T1 over the line. And that's going to give them a map win here, keeping them alive in the series.
That was huge. I mean, that was so intense as well. You've really got to give it to T1 there in a huge kind of way. And suddenly a 3-horse race, like officially a 3-horse race. I think even if it had been a close 3-0 that O2 Blast win, then I could reasonably expect that they could accomplish the same thing again. But not only does this mean that T1 can seriously challenge O2 Blast in a way that nobody else in this entire season has, it implies that they may yet be able to challenge the likes of Talon, especially, by the way, CC, after what we saw today versus Incendia. They're looking extremely beatable. So suddenly, it's gone from being a 2-horse race with maybe the next 2 down to being a 3-horse race, no top 4 conversation.
I mean, I think that's maybe even a little bit disingenuous to the fact that I think T1 have been good this entire season. It's always been at
they for sure have. This is that proof in the pudding.
Yeah, I think it was always, to me, it starts as a 4-horse race. CC might fall out of that a little bit, and T1 up until I see something that makes me believe otherwise, definitely still in it. But you know, it's 100% T1 in it currently. O2 Blast have been really pushed hard. I mean, either team can make it across the line in this particular series. You can see that both teams are playing at their absolute peak currently. This is a series that is worthy of, you know, a playoffs match, and we'll probably see this again in the playoffs. I mean, I'm sure that T1 and O2 will have
a good chance.
Plenty of games to look forward to further on. Talon will be in the mix there as well. Maybe even CC. We'll see how they go. Currently, 2-1, still in the lead of O2. It's going to be T1 catching up. Quite a bit of a hill to climb yet before we get into a position where they can be in a match point scenario too.
Very exciting. Very exciting right now. And I mean, now we go into assault. You know what? Are you ready? Are you ready to see the 6-map series? And you know exactly what it looks like. These are 2 teams that could very seriously draw an assault. Like, I almost feel like the likelihood is quite high. We are a Volskaya, so it's a little bit lower, I think, than if we were over on, like, Temple of Anubis or Hanamura. But there's a good chance that we get a draw on Assault. If T1 can pull it back on the second control, we go to 6. I could see it.
All right, telescopes out.
Boy, am I glad that I have kept my sleep schedule late. Otherwise, this would be really doing a number on me.
I'll tell you what, if this matchup doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will. This is an alarm bell just blaring outside your ear currently. Best series of the season so far. Even if it was a 3-0, it would have been the best. I wouldn't have been mad if Ultrablast capped there, or rather defended there, and that was how it ended. I mean, that would be brilliant. We've had 2 time banks now in a season so far where a time bank has been so rare. We've had an opening Legion that goes to 3. Really what we're seeing here is that all maps have gone pretty much to the fullest distance that you can possibly reasonably expect, rather. So, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if Volskaya is a time bank as well. Why not?
Why not? Subs again. Vindam over Chio.
Oh, Merit stays.
Yeah, Merit stays this time. That's an interesting one, but we otherwise do have Max and Vindam getting subbed in.
A little bit different. So sure. Kilo's not going to be making an appearance. Where otherwise, I mean, usually when O2 Blast swap, right, they swap all 3 of the ex-Runaway members for the other 3 that are sitting on the bench for O2 Blast. There are the 3 members that have been playing with for a while now. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense how they swap, because, I mean, Max just comes in to play the Zarya, which is exactly what FaZe was on anyway, right? Vindam just plays Brig, which is what Chio was on anyway. The only thing that's clearly different is that I think Kilo and Merit have a little bit more varied hero pools in terms of what they play that the other one doesn't play as well. But here, I say that as Merit just goes to Hanzo, so Ultra Blast is doing what they want.
Proper is looking in good shape here. Merit not so much. He's able to stay alive. Okay, nice dive onto MN3. Puts a bit of pressure down, allows the other members to rotate, but Ballasria, he's in a little bit of trouble now. It's just jostling. All just jostling as O2 Blast make their rotations.
And they're not really going... Yeah, again, they're just going low ground, very similar to what we saw in the earlier matchup here as well. They're taking most of the point control. Probably gets a fast pulse bomb here. Could really ruin the day. It's Finn.
Oh, man!
First blood onto Zest.
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Now Ballasria in a world of hurt. He's at least rolling away, but this is meaning they can't put any kind of pressure. There goes the damage in. Proper's pulse bomb didn't quite get it done. I think that went onto a damage shield, but even so, the damage was still there prior. That means they are getting so much time. Look at the charge on Max. This is so good. And O2 Blast on an absolute tear. Really patient rotation, but it's just this, it's like the slow and steady, right? It's the inexorable tide of it. It's going to be some late deaths here for T1. This could be a disaster. Oh, that's really important fight from Cleston.
Ultra Blast,
he does get reset, though.
Ultra Blast will still get some frags off this. Yeah, it's going to slow down. Ultra Blast respawns. And actually won't. They're just going to walk up. I mean, T1 are actually the ones feeling the hurt from this, outside of the fact that Max will miss the elevator.
Late death of Cleston was huge. He had about 90 charge. Max has only just got 70 now off that one little shield.
It does give Cleston a closer charge to the grab, though. Which does mean something in this particular matchup. We'll see how much that does mean, because Grab Dragon is a thing. I'm sure that O2 Blast will be waiting for their own. Grab Dragon, Merit onto Zest. Can't catch a break.
Enormous early kill. And now they're just putting pressure on the point. They're going straight in. Tempo Transcendence, they're not saving it for a Grab Dragon. Now here comes the drag. The Grab, rather, eyes out for the Dragon. They find Max. Ideal target, but the counter Dragon doesn't even need the Grab to find Cleston out, so no Zarya is left on the table. They lose Fed, but look at this. Proper is in the mix. 87% caps over already. They need to finish off Vindam there. They've found Proper. That's important. O2 Blast will get forced to reset, but that was touch and go for T1.
Yeah, unfortunately, Finn had to use his Transcendence earlier, right, for O2 Blast to stay alive before the Grab Dragons even came on through. So when it does come on in, it's T1 that will secure the kills. There's no defense from Finn, no defense from O2 Blast. Max doesn't end up using his grab, goes down there, and there throws one out there, kills Cleston. When the dust settles, I'm not too sure who I really favor here, because on one side, yeah, T1 defend, but O2 Blast, 87%, that's 2 ticks, and then Finn going down. All right, that's going to be really a bit more of an extra slowdown for O2 Blast now as they're waiting for Finn to come back in. And Finn, by the way, has had some brilliant opening picks so far this game, this series.
Yeah, in a really big way. Often onto Zest specifically, but T1 now. They can take a bit of a deeper breath on this defense. The double support ultimates available, obviously, and O2 Blast in a slight rebuild phase.
And the grab is still the option here. It's a double.
Okay. Okay, that forces the Transcendence. Not at all surprising. They still get a bit of progress on the points, which is nice. Max has got a reasonable bit of charge. No one dead either side. There we go. Finn goes down. Ballasria diving in to get that.
That's the reset.
They got like 2.4 extra % out of that grab, and they forced out a Transcendence. Now Max gets reset, unfortunately. Charging up some other ultimates is decent, but yeah, good defense from T1.
I think looking back on it now, T1 probably didn't even need a Transcendence, but Krillin didn't want to take a chance there. If they had reviewed the tape on it, they would have realized, yeah, okay, maybe O2 Blast can't actually push on towards the grab and don't really have the damage follow up. They probably assumed that Merit had a dragon. They didn't see the dragon just yet. So O2 Blast will have that as a slight advantage. Now, speaking of dragon, Merit will have it now for that next fight. It's going to be opening plays from Zest and Proper to really get the job done here. If O2 Blast can find another opening pick like they have been off Merit and Finn, that's what's going to buy them into this next attack. But T1 can equally do the same on MN3 and Krillin.
Now O2 Blast starting to run a little bit leaner for time. Good news is if they don't fully cap out that it can't be a draw, but here we go. Already huge start. They find Unique. That cancels the rally. That's absolutely immense. I can't understate that enough. Junbin could get traded out, though. The rally running from Vindame needs to be big. Good value. Oh, my goodness. Oh, for... Damn it.
And for the record, it's Overstate. It's going to be that guy. There's O2 Blast. Wow. A rally cancel into... They just walked on the point. Unbelievable. Bellisria dies. No mines, I think. I mean, just there's no time. That's it. Wow. Some way to end. No words. No words.
Yeah, I've got none. I mean, actually, I've got plenty.
To your bottle cap.
I got plenty. I got plenty of words, but they're not the sort that I'm allowed to say on air. I nearly slipped it out. I nearly dropped a bomb.
Once you blasted, let me tell you, that bomb exploded. It blasted. It's an oxygen bomb.
That it did. That oxygen bomb, boy, howdy. There needs to be a C4 versus O2 Blast. That's what we need. There needs to be a team called C4, because then you'd also have, you'd have T1, you'd have O2.
There's no 3.
There was a team with a 3 in it a season or two ago, wasn't there?
No, there wasn't. There was. I mean, in A, you've had Third Impact.
I mean, sure, yeah, there's that.
You've had They had a good one. They had Square 1, Phase 2, Third Impact. I thought that was quite clean.
Beautiful.
They didn't have a team.
The only thing you were missing is if Shore 4 still played.
Well, I mean, you need a team with 4. There's never been a team that had 4 in it.
Well, no, you could name it after him, like Shoes Money Crew. You name it after Shore 4. Just call it like Shore 4 for
Four's Money Crew. 4's Shore Crew.
4 American dollars. You can do a lot with 4 American dollars.
Yeah, maybe in the 1800s, as we now look at his O2 Blast. You actually probably could. I think that buys you a lot back then.
You'd have to get a lot of teams to get all the way up to 1800 as well.
Let's take a look at what T1 can do in the opening push. By the way, it's going to be a mirror on both sides, so both teams are very keen to continue playing this Hanzo. Continue playing the Zarya as well. Jinbin taking a bit of a hurt, but T1 are in position to move towards the payload. Or the point, there's no payload.
Bellisria, okay, he's gonna be alright. Good charge on Max, though. That's a serious threat. Junbin needs to get away here, though.
Low HP on Vindime. O2 Blast in general. What a pain. It's Bellisria low. That's the problem for T1.
Yeah. And now, O2 Blast. Just looking to anchor it down 2 minutes, so half the time elapsed. So remember, O2 Blast were more or less a one and done. And look at that charge.
Grab Dragon, not quite on the table just yet. I mean, dude, Clayton's too far behind here. This is the problem. This is the feast or famine of Zarya sometimes. Now that M3's gone, it's gone. He's done zone. T1, their entire push is gone as well. Late different assist once more.
It's an absolute buffet as Junbin comes in for a course. All you can eat.
This has been a huge slowdown. T1 have lost a lot of time. Like,
this is nuts.
Even now, T1 would really, in my mind, have to make some sort of double cap play, a lot of momentum from A towards B, but O2 Blast have amassed 6 ultimates. I am not seeing O2 Blast losing control of A in any time soon.
Alright, well, there's the dive at least. Oh, what a stick onto Bellisria. Proper reads the play like the Dune trilogy.
I mean, he had a Sonic there, I think, but that aside, it's still pretty cool to watch and cool to see.
Good Junman traded though. That is
T1 just can't get anything. They can't get any momentum. They can't play for any of their ults. They are taking 4 minutes to get one grab. Look at Cliston. This is going to be his first grab.
Max actually gets his out first anyway. Forces out the Transcendence. There's the Dragon. Drops Cliston. He barely got the grab out in time. But they're not particularly threatened anyway. Max is just hanging tight. He's got the Transcendence there. He's got 100 charge as well. Dude is right where he wants to be now. Right clicks a bound. Does eventually go down. That's a lot of damage that some members took there, but no one quite able to confirm the kills for O2. It does mean now, T1, they've got an opportunity. Pulse Bomb goes wide from Proper. They're on the point as well, right as the overtime's poised to begin there. 15 seconds left as T1 are still trying to reinforce this position.
But they got to heal Bellasaria. If he goes down there, this could be Nights Out. If Bellasaria's gone.
Finn?
Instead, there's going to be Finn taking down with Merit to follow as well. T1 can still rescue this.
Proper's certainly going to try. They've found Cleston. That's a big reset. Krillin's still in trouble, but they've got the supports in. They didn't find him in 3. They nearly had him there, but they're still going to get some resets in. The rally's going to be big. There's Bellasaria. I think they might just have it. Pulse Bomb has been damn big. Cancels the remainder of the rally. Max has still got a decent amount of charge despite the reset that happened on Krillin's dead as well. Unique low. In trouble as Proper is all over him. I think that's enough to hang it on. No supports left for MN3. He is hung out to dry. They do find Max, even finding Proper. T1 are really going to have to earn it as Bellasaria comes in front of the round. Huge Dragon Strike to D-Mac and kill off Cleston. Absolutely immense. Now, Merit does go down, but look at that. The last man standing is going to be Junbin and Finn. Beautiful ending.
That's how it goes. Unfortunately, we are not going to get a time bank at all. And I really wanted that. I really wanted to see if that could happen. O2 Blast, I think, look, we can talk about that B cap again and say, yeah, what happened there? Well, T1 didn't really contest properly and all these kind of other things, but we didn't even get to be. This ends on a 4 minutes of T1 unable to get off the ground. And did we talk about, you know, you mentioned earlier on Rialto, Cleston could potentially be the linchpin on the Zarya, and I said that works both ways, and the fact that, yeah, you can carry here, but you can absolutely be a detriment as well if you're... That's not even necessarily the Zarya's fault, that's just how the team plays, that's just how Zarya works mechanically, is if you're losing, and your Zarya is dying, and you're not able to get energy, and you're not able to get damage in, that's gonna be a completely wasted pick. You have to justify the Zarya, and it's gonna be 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I think is how long Cleston got his first grab. And it's, again, it's not necessarily his fault. It's not because he's playing a poor Zarya. The entire team could not get a dive going.
Yeah.
You had Bellasaria constantly chunked down. You will never get a dive going if your main tank is always on half HP, and he just can't catch a break. Zest couldn't catch a break as well, being picked off a number of times on the other side of the regulation. You didn't see this huge pop-up potential. Like, Krillin wasn't getting the same value on the opening picks that Finn was getting. MN3 slowed down as well. Tried his best. Give it to him, you know. Credit where credit is due. T1 had a great showing up until Volsky. I still think it was a good showing of Volsky. Let's not get it wrong. Their defense on A and B outside of that last push where the cap came through was still pretty well done. But that attack on A, I think, ends up, unfortunately, being a bit of... it ends in a bit of a whimper, sadly.
Yeah. And look, I'll tell you what. We were talking about, you know, the teams with numbers. We got all the way up to like 3, but there's still quite a few numbers between that and C9. But at the very least, with the way that ended, it does take the edge off with what happened on O2 Blast's B push, purely because T1 never got to CB. If they had, and there'd been like a cap or a no cap or whatever, then you start to talk about the difference that particular C9 would have made. But luckily, it doesn't actually make the difference. I think it makes it hurt more for the losing team, but it takes the edge off in terms of its impact on the overall result, which is, I guess, the best possible outcome in that regard. But that all being said and done, I mean, I think my reflection upon this has really got to be control close, O2 Blast win it. King's Row and Volskaya were the least close maps, and they were the O2 Blast wins. Rialto, on the other hand, was close and was a T1 win.
I mean, I'll say that King's Row was even the fact that we went to time back means it was still closer.
Yeah, it was relatively
than
competitive, sure.
I mean, obviously the 3-minute time bank versus nothing is what ends up selling the fact that Ultra Blast had the advantage there. But Yeah, a little bit disappointed that T1 didn't end up capping A. I would have accepted a no cap on A if it was at least a bit more competitive in terms of the fights, but it seemed like the fights were so one-sided for O2 Blast, and I think a key factor, not just on Volsky, but across the board, also a member that didn't get subbed out and had good gameplay across the entire series on multiple heroes, play the match today, is going to go to capital F. What you're looking for here. Fent.
Beautiful. On
both Ana and also Zen. First kill consistency coming on through. Loads of damage. Third DPS, literally speaking, on Night Market. I think just incredible damage output. Third DPS for sure. Ana sleeps across the board. Really made Bellisria's gameplay on the main tank super hard. A lot of sleeps onto Bellisria today. A lot of good bio-nades across the board that really put O2 Blast ahead. And then obviously on Volskaya, more opening frags, more Zenyatta damage that pushed O2 Blast across the edge. So always happy to kind of highlight supports when I can.
Yeah, and like absolutely earned as well. I think everyone else felt like they were mostly running blow for blow, really on track. But yeah, what a difference maker the Finn was. But with that, we're done. We're done with the regular season. Let's take a look at how it all shook out. This has been the business end, and despite the fact that these matches did not at all change the ending standings, I think it is worth noting the actual fallout from this day will probably be the most immense, the most impactful, the one that will be felt all across the play-ins and play-offs. But with that all said and done, Incendia go out with a bang, to be sure, taking out Team CC. They do win the tiebreaker there, CC, so they are tied for win-loss and map differential, but they have the head-to-head over GC Busan. So we go back to that big matchup when that happened and how important that ends up being as a win. So we'll also see JNGK dropping out. We saw that yesterday. BM Hawk will play GC Busan. Starlight will play WGS Phoenix going into the play-ins. And it'll be the loser of BM Hawk versus GC Busan that plays the winner of Starlight versus WGS to find our second seed from the play-ins into the play-offs. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at the structure of that, though. That one little blemish there, by the way, for O2 Blast, that one changed the map differential. So this is what I'm talking about. Play-ins is going to be 3 games happening across the 2 days there. First of all, we'll have A3 versus B3, then A4 versus B4. Loser of the former plays the winner of the latter. Also, the winner of A3 versus B3 goes straight through into the playoffs, which will then be a big, bad double elimination to run all across the month of September.
So let's take a look at what we got to look forward to in terms of matchups here. We have seen the bracket and starting out in the play-ins here. You're probably wondering, okay, well, who plays who? We haven't worked it out yet. BM played GC Busan, Team Diamond in the upper bracket. We want to go straight through to the playoffs. Bottom side of the bracket, Starlight Gaming versus WGS. Winner faces the loser of BM Hawk versus Team Diamond. And I believe first seed between BM Hawk Diamond in that initial matchup goes against CC in the playoffs, which, as we found out, is actually ends up being the easier matchup. I don't know that was always meant to be that way. It's just kind of an RNG that the group, what group is CC in again? The group B.
Group B.
Second seed is on the upper side and is what the play-ins first seed play against. But then the second seed from the play-ins here will go up against T1, of which you'll be in the Talon side of the bracket, and CC is on O2 Blast side of the bracket.
Yeah, it could be super rough. And I mean, look, we talk about the fallout of that. Obviously, that's very well represented there. Suddenly, T1 are looking like an enormous threat. They're looking like an O2 Blast, a Talon level threat. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, CC looks super beatable. Looks super beatable for all of the teams going into the play-ins, because they're all going, hell, Incendia didn't even make it here. We did. We should be better than them on paper, and they just beat CC. Surely we could do it too. And that's what everyone is going to be looking at now, potentially eyeing up the matchup. I mean, CC, the blood is in the water. The sharks are circling, right? Like, they know it more than anyone else. They've got to have a desperate swim ahead of them to get back to safer shores. And even then, they get to land, they're going to be coming up against the apex predators of T1, O2, and Talon. So certainly not going to be a smooth ride for them. They're looking like they may not be long for this world. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. I think despite the fact that this regular season has kind of proceeded as expected all the way up until tonight, I think the playoffs could be a little bit more contentious than one might have imagined a couple of weeks ago. I think enough has been thrown into disarray here, especially when you consider extra factors like the patch change, the removal of the hero pool limitations. There's just enough in this that I think we could see some dramatic changes in fortunes.
And there is going to be a double elimination there, not just for the play-ins, but the playoffs as well. So who knows what happens there. A second opportunity for a lot of teams. Obviously, we've had in the past teams kind of get, somebody has to not get knocked out straight away in a double elim, and T1's been that team in the past, and this is a very different season for them. Great to see them in form. We'll see if they're going to be good enough to take down teams like O2 Blast. Obviously, T1 is on the talent side of things, so that's going to be a different matchup and a totally different beast to tackle, but I can't wait to see what happens in play-ins and playoffs as we finally exit the regular season. 5 weeks around robin gameplay, and now we're into the real meat and potatoes. Here comes the real main course.
Yeah, like a Brandon Sanderson novel, it might have felt like 400 pages of nothing, but I tell you, everything goes off at once, and now we are going to landslide our way into the play-ins, playoffs, and beyond until we finally crown the Season 2 champion. It is going to be an absolute belter to the end, but tonight does see the end of that group stage. We've sent those two teams home, and we are all wrapped up, not just for tonight, but for those groups. We will see you next week when we begin the play-ins. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.